Welcome to another edition of the Zulu 24 podcast. Actually, we still don't have a name for it. I guess it is the Zulu 24 podcast, but we're just going to call it the Starcast right now because the group of people we got on tonight, it's a star-studded event around these parts. Anyway, the podcast is brought to you by Antec Airsoft Studios. Good with guns, bad with table saws. Man, I'm off my game right now.
You're doing a great job. Keep going.
I'm just gonna power through it.
Go.
I'm just gonna power through it.
Keep doing it.
Also, the snack bar. They sell hot food, cold food, red food, blue food, me food, and you food. You're welcome, Barbara. And also Zulu Outdoor. It's an outdoor store that's indoor. It's an indoor-outdoor store. You go figure it out. You can figure it out by giving them a call. Stop on in. They got good gear. Check them out. And finally, but not leastily, we have Blue Mag Airsoft. Blue Mag providing all your BBs for all your Milsim events. They've got all the Milsim weights, all the tracers that you could ever want, and some other cool products as well that we're going to go over here a little bit later. Gentlemen and ladies, and often forgotten. No, I'm not going to do that. Guys, on the podcast with us today, we have Max from Grimnir. Max, say hi.
Hello.
Okay, good one. And then we have Austin from Blue Mag Airsoft. Gentlemen, welcome to the Zulu 24 podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys here. How's the trip?
Long. Really long.
That's all right. We always want to do it in person, man. We don't want to do the Skype stuff.
I think you were really onto something with that, and I'm glad that you guys are doing this because there's not a good airsoft podcast that's like centered on this. It's all just this Skype, like, how's your mic, bro? And it's crackly. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say any other podcasts. And stuff.
That's my podcast. That's my one pilot episode. I haven't made a second because I haven't worked around the technical.
You just can't. I mean, so is the long-term plan here to, like, what are you going to do if you want to get some airsoft celebrities? How are you going to get them here?
Vast quantities of money thrown in their direction.
I see.
Actually, I don't know. Actually, we've got a line on one particular airsoft celebrity. We might have him on.
Keep an eye out for May.
Yeah, sometime in May, and then I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know.
Now, what's the schedule going to look like here? You guys going to be doing this like once a month, once every 2 months?
Yeah, so right now we're just doing once a month, but we're going to try to create a backlog. Like so if esteemed colleagues like yourselves aren't available, then we'll just sit down with like the staff and just BS for however long just to get some backlog. And
because the other thing is long form content like podcasts, people become junkies and they want weekly content.
Yeah,
So if we
want that fix.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I'm the same way. I listen to 3 or 4 podcasts on a loop. So if we're putting out an episode maybe once every 2 weeks, at least it fills that void for the people that want it.
You also get to dig into like the more like the less like grand things, like you can go to like the player perspective, right? Like just get right down to the details instead of like these crazy like big ideas,
I want to bring in random players.
I was just about to say that.
You should
Really?
Random weekends.
grab them off of the walk-on day.
You.
Hey, come here.
Just snatch them up
grab
during
them.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I'll buy you lunch.
Bad
Come here.
idea.
Can I go home and shower?
That'll be
No.
fine.
I would listen to that.
Alex,
Call it right off the field.
We have
Fresh
to pick,
off the field.
fresh.
They're just
Fresh
sitting
from the
there.
front.
Yeah, sweaty. Like,
Yeah.
how was your
Wide-eyed.
experience today? And they're just like, can I get some water? No.
No.
We have
Sorry,
to
it's
target
on the
people
table.
that are either like they heat cast or they have face paint on or they're wearing some get up and they have no change of clothes, like gillied out.
No, but it's like like 5 questions rapid fire, and they have that long to answer them, and then they're
We
done.
quizzed them on the safety
I
brief.
really like this. I really would.
I do think
I would listen to
No
that.
way.
If
Show
you
me your
had
dead
a-
rag. Show me your dead rag right
Yeah.
now. Show me your
Yeah.
dead rag. Good.
Do you have it? Do you have it?
Yeah.
He doesn't have it. Like shorts, my ADD approach, ADHD approach is, boom, do these little, where's your dead rag? Where's it? Light? Do you have a white light? White light? And then like, I would love that. I would scroll through that all day.
How big does a hole have to be for you to shoot through it?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Put him on the
I
spot.
just want to see you get a guy in a full ghillie up here.
Yeah,
Just sitting
yeah.
here with Dave talking to a bush. That would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
right. Put little googly eyes on the bush.
People would love that.
All right, guys. So welcome to the podcast. Did you guys see that Chinese balloon floating overhead here?
Yes,
recently?
yes.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Science balloon, right?
Yeah. Just like the Japanese research whales.
So when I was pulling up to the shop
True.
today, at like 4 p.m., I looked up. I was looking south, and I could have sworn I saw something.
No,
It was
I
not
think it's over
moving.
Colorado.
It was a bright light. I should have taken a picture like everybody else, but it was a bright light. It was reflective, and then once I got up to the other part of the driveway, it wasn't bright, which means that it was reflecting light at me, but it was like fixed.
Oh, it was trying to signal you?
No,
Anthony, that was a UFO.
I think it was
Was there a pattern?
coincidental. I think it was coincidental.
Anthony, that was a UFO.
I saw it, and maybe I'm just like paranoid because
I don't think the Chinese cared that much about you to signal you individually.
Or like the Catskills, New York.
Yeah, right.
I
Like,
just
where's the coolest place on earth?
no, I don't think. Sorry. What if there's more than one surveillance balloon?
I'm sure there are. I think
there
the
are.
Japanese in World War II,
They drop bombs.
they dropped bombs. They brought them
Yeah.
over on balloons and let the jet stream take them over, and then they would land and they would explode.
So they actually, fun fact, the Japanese theorized that the jet stream existed. We didn't know that the jet stream existed,
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
So they just theorized it, and they were like, "Well, here you go." Like they just like threw these balloons up, and it turned out to be right. Like, oh crap! It was the only time in World War II that like continental United States was attacked or bombed or whatever.
Yeah, that and I think Alaska.
Yeah,
I think
so
there was an engagement.
There was an engagement in Alaska. I
Mhm.
forget the year exactly, but also out of those Japanese balloons, only one of them made it to mainland United States.
Counts.
And
it does count.
it does count,
Yeah,
but
well,
the
Counts
thing
for the
is,
guy
like,
who's underneath it.
the government at the time was like purposely redacting that from newspapers and making sure that people weren't publishing it because they didn't want the general populace to freak out like the Japanese were sending firebombs.
Understandable.
It turns out
Okay.
Roswell was just a Japanese balloon.
I think the one balloon that actually made it was in like Oregon or Washington because it killed a family having a picnic. If I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
shit,
Yeah,
Mattered-
like,
mattered to
there
them.
was a casualty from it if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look that up just so I don't have the comment section going at me for being a bad historian.
People would freak out more over a balloon than fucking Pearl Harbor. The balloon, they'd be like, "They're throwing balloons over our head. It could hit me." But
What was the reasoning for not shooting it down? Was
I
anybody?
think it can land on somebody.
Are we
perhaps.
talking about the one that's
balloon.
going on right
the
now?
one
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going on right now. Why
the
haven't
government
we
put
shot
out
it
a
down?
statement saying they weren't shooting it down just for fear of debris coming down and killing someone.
That doesn't sound like.
It
I
doesn't
don't
sound
I
right,
don't
but
know.
They've
That's
been
what they
monitoring
said.
it since Canada, so they've already known about it for so long. They could be jamming it, or,
I had
or it
like
could just be a research thing, like legit.
I had like 3 theories just today in the car. I was like, okay, what if there's like the fucking new variant of COVID in there, and then they
They're
spraying it?
wanted to be shot down.
No, it's a new cordyceps.
I was like, because okay, the United States
Right.
is like very hard to invade unless you have to Trojan horse the fuck out of it.
I
And
don't
even
know if a
then-
science balloon's going to get it done.
Yeah.
What if it's not a science balloon?
I
I think it
I
is.
think, I think you need like
Well, virology is a science.
What I think is happening is I think that what they're actually doing is they're fucking Google Earthing the U.S. really hard, and they're trying to look at our military bases because there's things that
I think they've already got that down pat.
I think they're looking for more. So they have this automated like program that basically, I forgot what it's called specifically, and I should know what it's called, but there's a room, there's a camera facing it, and it's detecting objects. It's like AI. So it has a database of different pictures of people. So depending on what orientation a person might be in a room, no matter their size, shape, color, whatever, what they're wearing, if it's only parts of their body, it'll identify that's a person and it'll track it across that frame. So they could possibly be doing that from a balloon because there are cameras that are that powerful. And they use that same technology on their streets, on their people. Like they surveyed their own people.
Yeah, but they don't need to do that because of TikTok. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I mean, TikTok is spyware.
It's just another blind spot that
Like-
they can cover. I think that they're just going. I think they're just fucking going for it.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people said similar stuff before Russia invaded Ukraine. All these YouTube videos came out, and it was like Russia versus the United States. Who's gonna win?
Yeah.
And then they went and invaded Ukraine, and it's like a rough situation right now. So like they showed their hand, and they really didn't have much. And now if you veer over to China, well, China's like, we've got stuff, but I think you're gonna see a similar situation if they invade Taiwan or something. They're going to show their hand, and they're really not going to have as much as they talk about.
I hope not. I mean, I hope not
I
because
think it's more like just even if they do or don't, I think it's just a compounding factor. So now you've got something going on between Russia and Ukraine. You've got China and Taiwan,
Yeah.
and then it just spills over. And then there's people making there's that raid. Did you guys see the video of the raid down in Tehran? Right?
no.
Oh, I saw
You
that.
see that?
No,
You
I
see
didn't
that?
see it.
That was
no.
wild.
That was
man.
wild. footage.
Full blown like firefight in the streets, civilians everywhere. I mean, it was nuts.
Where?
What
It was
who was
Tehran,
fighting
right?
who?
I think it was Israel. It was right
yeah.
on the border with Palestine. It was like the Israeli counterterrorism force
Yep.
got into a full blown gunfight in the street.
You showed me
Wild.
that.
Yeah, I
yeah,
sent
you
you the
did show me
video.
that.
It was
gonna have
nuts.
to
So,
watch
but-
this.
Insane. They were
but-
launching 40mm grenades from like building to
Yeah.
building.
Doesn't that happen in Israel? Like anyway,
so I know that
I don't know
like,
about
a lot
that
of like
intense.
missiles get sent at Israel. I don't know how many firefights are like happening in the streets though.
So
I'm not
from what I
expert on that.
read in the
Yeah.
beginning of that, that was supposed to be a coordinated raid, and they got blown before they got to the target, and it turned into a gunfight in the streets. But yeah, they do have, I forget the name they have for their missile defense system. It shoots down a lot.
The Iron Dome.
Iron Dome.
Iron Dome, yeah.
Thank you.
They have a lot that come over their border, but there's not very often you see combat footage like
Right,
that.
right. My point is that like it's not so much whether like China shows its hands or Russia's showing it. It's just the compounding hotspots of things that are going on,
Yeah.
or hotspots that pop up. You know, it just kind of increases the risk of spiraling into something way messier.
death by 1,000 bee stings.
Way messier. Well, or like one big bee sting.
Yeah.
I think that's the real word.
Yeah, we're all worried about that
The-
one big one, which
Yeah.
will turn into 50 because everybody will shoot everything they have.
But just
then
to
airsoft
backtrack
won't
real
matter.
quick.
Yeah, well,
the,
we're trained.
The Japanese World War II balloons on May 5th, 1945, it killed 6 civilians in Oregon.
Oh,
That was the only time one
Yeah.
of the balloons actually successfully made
more
Wow.
substantial
It's
than I
also
thought.
attributed to a bunch of wildfires in 1945 in the Pacific Northwest.
Mm.
Huh.
So it did more damage than we thought.
Yeah, but the government at the time kept everything under wraps. They shot down over 20 of the balloons, but the only time it actually injured or killed anyone, it killed 6 civilians.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna come on your podcast more often because I'm learning so much right now.
Right.
Oh,
It's like really educational. That's,
That's
really
like, yeah, that's
educational.
my hobby on the side. I'm a huge history nerd.
Clearly.
I just talk and Jordan fact checks, so I'm
have fantastic mustaches, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan likes fact checking too, so it
That's
works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I like the setup. It's similar
really
to
good.
who does Joe Rogan have? That
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jamie is Jordan at home.
Yeah, I'm Jamie at
Yeah.
home.
No, he's Jamie at home. We have Jamie at home. All right, gentlemen. I guess we can get into it a little bit here. Max, good to have you here.
Thank you.
Did I just peek out the mic doing that?
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're right.
So look, let's. I'm going to ask you the ubiquitous airsofty question. How and when did you get into airsoft? This lovely sport of ours. And please tell me you came over from paintball.
I did.
There you go.
We all did. Yeah, actually, it was all about saving money.
Whoa.
It's
How did
No.
that work out?
it's the completely opposite result. No, so we being myself, Logan, Ian, Wes, basically, other than Jake, the fifth owner, the 4 of us and Jack and Rob. So that group, we've been together since, Ian and Logan grew up together. I'm Ian's older brother. So we started going to Invasion of Normandy up at Skirmish, which is that massive, like 4,000 person paintball thing. And we went there for about, I think it was like 11 years, something like that. It was like 11 years. And every year just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And, then we'd go down there, like the game wouldn't be until like Saturday. We'd show up on Monday and absolutely not get completely trashed for the whole week. And then go out there. No,
Of course not.
totally just disciplined.
You're just training. Yeah.
Yeah, training. But no, we went and we started getting more serious, and we got in with like the actual people, like did the command and whatever. We actually started running real missions, weren't just a bunch of normies or whatever. And then we did a bunch of cool stuff, and then from there we just wanted more. And then I think we were talking about it a second ago, but someone showed Ian a video of an airsoft game with night vision with a bunch of tracer rounds, and it was like in like some desert or something, and we all saw that and we were like, yo, what is that? Let's do
Great
that.
video.
It's a fantastic video.
Like 1 in a million.
It was nuts, and we were like, okay, how do we do that? And we just did all this research, all the Amazon BS and whatever.
Yeah.
We need the guys who made that video on the podcast.
Jordan, look up that video real quick. Night ambush in Utah. Tell me how many views that has. It's got to have 90 million views.
I must
I
have
don't
watched that
think so.
video.
Standby.
The second we all saw that, we were like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
We have to do this. Like, screw paint. So we being myself, Logan, Ian, and our buddy Zach, we went down to an MSW game. I can't remember the name of it, but it was at Camp Shelby back in 2019, I think it was.
You guys drove there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we drove there.
Yeah.
We drove the whole way. Again, super safe, and it was fantastic. Actually, you were telling me, I think you guys were there too, weren't you?
That is true. That was the Chechen collapse. But
That's what it was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great game.
yeah, it was great. I was actually going through all your backlog because I like to stalk everybody that comes on so I can generate questions and talk
Not
points
creepy.
and whatnot. Yeah. And so I was watching you guys' Chechen collapse game and I was just like, wait, that's me. Wait, that's Jordan.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we're in
guys-
your videos.
You guys,
Really?
you guys were
But-
literally fighting shoulder to shoulder
That's
with us.
so cool. No wonder
Yeah.
we kicked
There's
that.
there's a part in that video where you walk up. Jordan's got an M60. He's firing out of a doorway,
oh,
and you walk up.
Mm.
I
to
looked out the
Jordan.
doorway, right?
Yeah.
I know exactly. That was you.
That's
Get
me.
out of here. That's wild,
I also
man.
came over to you guys Saturday night during one of the attempts for them to push our PB and was like, "Hey, you guys need to get up. We're getting fucked up." And Ian looked right at me and was like, "I'm too tired for that." I'm like, "I get that."
That's not surprising at all.
Yeah,
Not
What year
surprising at
was
all.
this?
that was 2019.
Yeah, it was 2019. Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? So
yeah.
relatively recent.
Yeah, so weird. Like Grimnir had. So we as a group of people have been together for a really long time, like forever. But Grimnir, we LLC'd in 2019, and we ran our first game in September of 2020.
Wait, so Chechen collapse was your guys' first game?
That was the first time we actually played airsoft.
Whoa, way to jump in the deep end.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
You guys went
and
from
then-
0 to 60.
And then you LLC'd the same year.
So we went there and we got in because we'd been talking about doing something in paintball for a long time, and then we did the airsoft thing, and we were like, we want to do this.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then at first we were just going to do like a team, like we were just going to be cool YouTubers or whatever and go do a team thing. But then we were like, no, you know what? The more we got into it, we started digging around and we are like, let's I think we can do events. Let's try it, because we always wanted to try and run one skirmish, and that was our dream. And we just kind of, let's go. But I do remember I went on to like GoDaddy or whatever, or LegalZoom something, and on the car ride back from Chechen Collapse, I grabbed the domain name for Grimnir.
Nice.
So we had that on the way back, and then every event we went to, like that, like we went to a lot of events. We went to that one. We went to some little one in New Jersey. That was pretty good. We met some guys over there, and then we went to a Desert Fox event in EMR. We just like consumed it like as much as we could. And then September 2019, we formally LLC'd, and then
Did you have Grimnir as your name for all those years, or is it something
No.
you came up with?
no, so
And what does it mean? What is
so Grimnir is actually just another name. So okay, so Grimnir, did I lose everything? You guys got me? Am I
Yeah,
good?
sorry, I'm trying to fix. There's a slight buzz with your mic. Keep going.
Sorry.
Is it his mic or is it the?
Nope, that one's unplugged. It's his
Okay.
mic.
So Grimnir is actually just another name for Odin.
Mhm.
And when we played paintball, the team name was the Operations Direct Action Intelligence Network.
Clever.
Odin. And then we were like, oh well, that's can't be a company name. And I'm a nerd. I'm a mythology nerd. Like Jordan's a history nerd. And I was like, hey, Grimnir. And everyone's like, that's a cool name. So we got Grimnir.
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
so-
Odin was taken. The
Yeah.
speed loaders.
yeah. So
yeah.
but anyway, so it stuck, and Ian did the GT thing, the Grimnir Tactical thing, and just kind of got from there. But yeah, it was
So
stuff.
what you're telling me is that you guys started playing airsoft in 2019,
Yeah.
and then LLC'd, and then started hosting events within like
a year.
a year or two of that.
But almost 1 year to the date is when we hosted Radio Silence, which by the way is still like, from what our players tell us, is our gold standard event. That was a unicorn. That was, I wish we knew you guys, because I think you guys would have dug it. But it
How
was,
many people were there?
so that was right after COVID and everything, and this was our first event. So we actually had peak player capacity was 110, and after attrition and because people, whatever attrition, I think we ended with like 90 on the field at end.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it wasn't too bad.
It's pretty good.
It wasn't too bad, and it was really good. And that became like the prototype for a lot of stuff that we do nowadays.
And when did the props come in? Because I love your guys' props. I
I think he's cheating.
He's
I-
cheating off my test.
look, I tinker with things. I like the engineering stuffs and
well, hold on.
whatnot, and robots. So like, you're using like Raspberry Pis as bases for these props. Now, did the need for the props come as you were running games?
So the way we so my actual profession is I'm a technology project manager, right? And I worked for Venmo for a while. I worked at this company called Metadata Solutions. We did clinical trial software.
Tell us about you.
No, I'm not a person. I'm an empty vessel.
He's an NPC.
I don't matter. Yeah, I'm on autopilot. Someone's feeding me this stuff to my brain. No, so it all kind of, so when we looked at it, right, and we saw a lot, and the reason we hit so many games so fast is because it was basically our market research, right? And paintball, for minus some intricacies, like it's not that dissimilar to running like how I've seen many airsoft events run, right? Like you've got the objectives, the flow is very similar. So looking at it from like a product perspective, we kind of looked at, you guys showed, it's called jobs to be done theory. And we were looking at what jobs that the players needed to be done, how to make it more efficient. And hearing complaints like, oh, like spawn points, like where do you know to go, and how do you keep track of respawns, and how do you control the flow of the game? And there are only 4 of us, so the challenge we had is how do we scale? Like how do we try and make this so we could run like a 500, 600 person game someday? Not there yet, but how could we scale that? And the props kind of came about. Wes did go to Stevens Institute of Technology. He was there under there. I think he was doing something with development. The guy knows his stuff. He's smart. So Wes has a lot of technical background. I had a product kind of, development background as far as like software and stuff. And from that whole, whatever, Ian had a lot of business background. So it really came about as just how do we make these games not only efficient, but like more clear to players? Because I think, can we all agree that like sometimes in airsoft, there's a lot of ambiguity? Like,
yes.
As far as like, you have to use and make a lot of leaps, even if the rules are like super clear. It's just, there's a lot of leaps that I need.
You have to put it in their HUD like in a video game.
Right.
Hit A, press A to open door.
There's comprehension issues for sure. There's laziness for sure on the part of the player and sometimes part of the producers as well. There's a lot of that's the main reason why we started making monthly videos, is because it didn't matter. And I'm a boomer, so I still use Facebook, right? Didn't matter how many Facebook posts we put out. Didn't matter how many Instagram posts we put out. Like the information just wasn't being received. And that's just like, hey, we're going to be closed on the 30th. You know what I mean? That wasn't like, here's the op board, here's the rules. So you can imagine the retention for any given op. I think we did an op called the deployment, right? And instead of actually writing all the rules out, I just made videos, like 2-minute videos, and the retention was like through the roof. It was actually pretty amazing. So you have to like spell everything out, and you can be as clear and concise as you think. And then there's always that one guy like, wait, but what if this happened? But like, it's in the first sentence.
But like right there though, like we I think we've all seen like where even just a handful of individuals who did, even if they did read the rules, they don't grasp it. And look, we've seen some tac ops, and they're freaking huge. Like there's a lot of stuff to go in, especially
simplicity is really getting important.
And if you can't get people to retain stuff, you have to try and, again, like a video game. Video games are a huge inspiration to us. Absolutely. We all grew up playing Halo. I'm a massive nerd. I play Destiny all the time. I do all that kind of, I love them. But like when you look at that, that's actually what most companies are mimicking, is a big game of like Battlefield or a big game of Call of Duty. So taking those principles and trying to look at what they do, how they do it, and how do we try and make that physical was a big inspiration behind everything.
I think what was Ian, when this is a phone conversation we had several months ago. He talked about at the first MSW event that you guys were pretty frustrated that you were sitting around doing nothing, and that you wanted more tasks to be assigned, something like that.
And I think that to be fair, like that also comes part and parcel with, it was also our very first time, and MSW, like, so with my military experience, there's a lot of sitting around, right? A lot of hanging out. And I think
Anthony, you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
There's a lot of sitting around.
It's okay though, because it's not fun to just sit around and do nothing.
Well,
No,
we brought cornhole, so we did that.
Well, that's
we couldn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I mean, my point.
We
is
smoked
that
cigarettes and chewed tobacco.
Destroyed our
ate
bodies.
chili mac.
Yeah.
Jalapenos. No, but like, I forgot what I was saying. What was this?
He was saying that you might have been
You
a little
guys so-
frustrated.
Oh, so that, I think that goes back to also our realigning our expectations a bit too, right? To be absolutely 100% fair. So, I mean, yeah, like were we sitting around a lot? Yes, but like, I think that's where at Grimnir we're trying to kind of bridge those things together, right? Because it's not, you're not being paid to be at these events. You're paying to go to those events. You're paying to go to fight, and to live that action hero moment. And that's why you see a lot of like our staff are so adamant about being on the field with people, because we really, I mean, do we get it right all the time? Absolutely not. There's sometimes like 100 people on our factions and we can't get to everybody. And I was just talking to my friend, like the rest of the partners, and we were like, we're at the point now where we don't remember everyone's names. Like for the longest time, we knew every single person on the field.
Shake everybody's hand. Oh, it's good to see you again.
Well, we tried to. We absolutely tried to. Absolutely. And it's so important to us to do that. But like, that's where we're trying to bridge the gap. Is you paid to be here. We're going to do our damnedest to make sure you're having as much fun. Now, again, we're going to get to everybody. No, like we can send you out there. We can try our best. But like, were you at Hammerfall?
Was the last one we just did Hammerfall? No. I was not at Hammerfall.
During our pre-op, we were basically, look, this is a handshake between us. Like we're going to try and do the best we can, but it's people. It's a lot of people, and you can't control people all the time. So like there will be times we'll send people out and we'll, I'll radio Rabbit and be like, hey man, I'm sending a patrol out there in case you got some guys hanging out. Like they're going to be out there. And they can send people either that be people big, nah, I'm too tired, or they'll send people out and they'll just like totally miss. Okay, well, I mean, you roll the dice. So.
Yeah, that's what at your last event. What was the last event called?
Anthropos.
Yeah. Yeah, I pushed the guys I was with pretty hard. Like there was a lot to do, and I had a lot of fun at that event because
you guys sure did a lot.
We did a lot. I pushed those. I'd never met any of those guys, and that's how I like to do it. Sign up squad leader. Completely 15, 14 randoms. I don't like people, we sponsor a lot of teams and they're like, yeah, come play with us. Like, no. I want 15 new players, preferably new into Airsoft. That way it's like, okay, we're gonna go do this raid. And if we get annihilated, which we always did, but we always, I felt like we had an impact. But anyway,
whatever y'all did made a difference because
good.
The my faction, we did not have a good event. It was really interesting though, because like whatever Kool-Aid the rebel side, and you were at the first Anthropos, it was a dogfight the whole time, but it was a very clear like government faction win, IGC win, totally different. Whatever you guys were doing,
good.
Keep doing it, but also please don't do it against my faction.
It was exhausting, but I knew that if we could we talked about it earlier about raiding tactics and stuff, and I was like, maybe if we just hit these guys from every angle out of nowhere, just keep repeatedly doing it, we're going to be really successful. But we had like an unlimited amount of missions on like our roster, on our screen, on our HUD, so to say, that we could just. We were like, all right, well, we're done. We're going to take 5 here. And then, all right, well, let's go do this. It was like a constant, like we said, like constant attention on the HUD for something to do.
So you're saying there's an actual market for us to build a real HUD?
No, please don't. Please don't.
Every player gets issued like augmented reality goggles that shows their health bar.
No,
that's a real threat to Airsoft. God. Like augmented reality, they start opening up these places. All of a sudden, you don't have to go out and sweat.
I have an Oculus Quest 2, and it's fun, but it's not.
You lose the physicality, and that's the thing.
You lose the pain.
Yeah. Well,
some people don't want that, Anthony.
No, some people don't. Most people don't want that. Like tomorrow, pretty darn cold.
Tomorrow's going to be a little painful.
But anyway, I think my point is that at my first Grimnir event, I had like an unlimited amount of choices, and I saw a lot of people sitting around and squad leaders kind of just doing their thing. But like, Milsom West is probably my favorite venue. But there's not too many like, okay, here's your thing, do this, or you can do this. It's kind of just like,
you were also at a conflict, right? And are you aware that we have 3 different kinds of events?
I am.
Okay. Are you aware we have 3 different kinds of events?
Not really.
I'm not.
You're not. Okay. So we actually have 3. And
is it the way that like MSW has insurgency events?
No,
this is a whole different.
Okay. No. So what you were at was a conflict. And actually, if you go on our website, all this is on there now. Go to grimnirtactical.com. The conflicts are like our. I don't want to say like, because I don't want to. They're hard, right? Because you fight a lot at them.
Sure.
But they're kind of our initial like level, right? And they're a lot looser. So you still have the same structure. You're going to get our props. You're going to, but we really narrow down the lore, which I think you told me you wanted to talk about a little bit eventually.
I do.
So like if you look at that whole thing, the conflicts are really just, like the Clone Wars. You're just a random ass stormtrooper somewhere. Sorry, I broke the 4 before you. Sorry.
No, he did it like 4 times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
all right, box off.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Did I?
Yeah. like instantly.
To be clear,
You dropped
boys,
some
we're
F-bombs.
30 minutes in, you're good to curse.
Well, but I mean, like
Fuck
4
yeah.
minutes in, Anthony was
Yeah.
like, he
All right,
said
Jordan
fuck
said
like
we're
3
good,
times.
so I can go ahead. So you're just like a random ass dude at the conflicts, and the idea is you're fighting for different resource points around the system, right? Around in the narrative to secure those things, and those are whoever wins are meant to get bonuses to the next event. Operations are a second type. That's what Hammerfall was, and it's kind of the middle ground between our full like episodes, which are full 40 hours nonstop. You don't like hardcore, right? Operations, and we're changing it this year. So operations, you come on the field, you're not allowed off the field, but we enable the players to get rest, right? Because at 40 hours, you can just get bag killed all the time. So at operations, though, it's a longer game. The hours are longer. So like we'll start at like 9 and we'll go to like 2 a.m. So there's a lot of night fighting. And then this year, because we just introduced operations last year, this year we're going to have it so each faction will have like a rear. So when you get out, you check in, you'll deploy to the rear. You'll have like your platoon area. You'll set your hooch up in your rack and whatever, and your stuff will be there. You don't go back to your cars. So if you need to go, you'll have to extract out of the AO, go back, and you'll have to come back in. And at night when the game plays, you can either sleep at the rear, but we're also going to let players sleep in the control zones that they own. So you can like just bed down in your trenches or whatever. This way, when the game starts, from a strategic standpoint, we don't have to chase everybody at their cars to get going. So
Yeah.
full player pop as quickly as possible. And then 2, it just gets people more used to like, hey, go sleep outside, be rough. Episodes are the full 40 hours one, and that's like the 40 hour. You're coming. You better have everything you need, because if you leave the field, you're gone. Goodbye. But that's where like the operations, we introduce more story. The episodes are like full story driven, fully.
What was Galahad?
That was an episode.
That was awesome at the Panthera Training Center. One of the coolest like staged events, right? You took our squad,
Yep,
and like we went out to this random part, and so the storyline was that like our commander was coming in on a ship.
you were bringing an artifact.
That's
that you
right.
found, and you were escorting it in.
That's right. And then our ship gets shot down.
Yep, you set a fireball off.
And so, like instead of just writing that down or telling us like, hey, hey, your ship got shot down or whatever the heck. I loved how you guys just like went the extra mile, and whatever pyrotechnics you guys use was
bag of gasoline.
Fantastic. It like the first one looked like anti-aircraft fire. And okay, so everybody who's listening, like it looked like a ship crashed because there was a giant fireball. There was anti-aircraft fire going off. And that's how we started this game. We were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're like, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that shit tickles my plums. Like
Feel
A
it,
lot of it.
plum.
feel it in my plums. It was cool because I mean, it was a big old fireball. It was totally safe. I mean, Panthera staff was out there trying to put it out for like 30 minutes, but but it was cool, and it added so much to the story. And even though I was privy, like I was on the ship or whatever, you'd think that maybe that would detract a little bit for me as a player, like, oh, well, I'm just kind of admin on the ship or whatever. But we were like right next to the explosion. It was awesome. And then when we were in like various states of health and we had to find each other, and I mean, it was just so well done. And then the bad guy forces came in to try to get us. We murdered them, by the way.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did, because like I watched you and I was like, okay, because I marched the whole faction up to go rescue them. They did not need to be rescued.
Oh man.
At all. But we watched and I could hear the fighting over here. I was like, okay, that's where they are. And then the fighting was like over there. And it was over there. And I'm like, are they attacking the entire enemy faction right now? Like 12 dudes? Like, you're breaking my game, Dave. But
No.
like, whatever. Okay.
Is there is there any footage of this?
Do you have that footage?
We might maybe Hoffman does.
Yeah, I will text the boys. I was not at that.
Yeah, that's right. But we were 100% knotted up, and we had tag launchers and everything. And so when we saw these guys, because they were staying on the road, none of them had MVGs, and and we could see that they didn't have MVGs, and it was dark night. We were like, oh man, we had the high. It was like It was.
Yeah, that
They had a rough.
I should have sent like a less capable squad up there.
They had like a rough. Well, and then everybody comes up the hill afterwar's and starts shooting us.
Yeah, well,
like,
I mean,
no, man. Like,
you weren't supposed to be the aggressor. You were supposed to be like way over there, and then all of a sudden you're killing everybody. So I'll let you guys in. So the other thing a big pillar at our episodes is we want to put you in those like action hero moments, and narrative is very important to us, which we'll get to later. But like, there was actually a different outcome. There was a whole divergent set of missions that the IGC could have gone on because the instructions were for Wes. If you guys got overwhelmed, Wes was going to just kind of wander away and get captured.
oh shit.
And then that would have kicked off a set of recon missions to find out where he was hidden. And then we would have had to raid their main compound to go rescue our boy.
Nice.
So but like, that's what we try. We try and like game plan these out.
So it's like an RPG.
Yeah.
It's like Fallout.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's a choose your own
That's
adventure
awesome.
book.
Choose your.
You're
I
just
definitely
really
wouldn't
old.
compare it. People have tried to do the Fallout approach. It's just not.
You mean like Op Fallout?
No. What is Fallout?
There was an Op play like Platakill paintball. It was in Platakill. No.
Oh.
They have awesome terrain.
PSI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Fallout themed event. So
I didn't realize that happened.
there's like bottle caps. You had to buy in-game BBs.
I saw something like that.
I played that when I was like,
Oh, you did?
yeah.
Oh.
Well, I know, doesn't Otherworld Milsim do stuff like that though? They do like the apocalypse stuff, and they do it at skirmish.
They recently just did their event,
Yeah.
which I skip out on them, but I did hear some really positive things about it. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll go. I'll go. Heck, if I have a bad experience, I'm not going back, but I'll give it a chance. It's just I really shy away from. And to be honest, when I first went on your guys' website, when Dave referred me, he's like, they blew up a helicopter. I'm over the phone, like, yeah. He's like, no, you don't understand. They blew up a helicopter. I'm like, wow. He's like, you gotta talk to him. So when I went on your website, you see all the sci-fi stuff, and the artwork's fantastic. We're big on our artwork too, so we really like the fact that you guys put a lot of time into that. But I got a little spooked because I was like, oh, like.
Yeah, that's the
There's some lore there.
Exactly.
yeah, and that's so we're trying to do something really different, and like so
It feels good. The first event I went to was fantastic. I was like, I love this. Like we were screaming "F-U IGC" and all this. There was like a real. It just felt different. So it was good. It's just like
I know, but
I gotta say the props too, or have a sci-fi feel to them.
yes.
we really try. It's really important.
Yeah.
And that fidelity is like super important. We acknowledge that it's a hard hurdle for folks to get over,
is.
and it's something that I think we're trying to find ways to make sure we're communicating, and it's
Oh,
the
man.
more people that like you guys come and the more exposure we get, that
I have no shame.
it's fine. Like I'm
I have no shame.
It's
I'll
fine.
totally.
As
do
long
that.
as I'm not like putting on an accent and
No, it's not. It's not
You have to
art.
wear hockey
See,
pads.
That's where I
No,
like
no.
being in character. I love that, but when you're doing kind of this ahoy travelers type of thing.
No.
That
That was the thing. So we very deliberately. So the lore actually came from a set of like books I was writing or starting to write like years ago, like way long time ago. And when we started our narrative, we were like, at first we were like, okay, we're gonna do the military thing, and then we were like, but everybody does NATO and SEALs, and everybody does that. Everyone does that.
Seals versus Green
I think it's a good
Berets.
compromise. It's not full sci-fi LARP like
No,
it's
like
not.
it's almost like future warfare. esque.
Well, if you watched your universe narrative video, this is what I like about it, right? If you haven't heard of Grimnir, go check them out on YouTube and look at their universe narrative video. It is fantastic, and it explains everything very concisely and clearly, and it makes sense. And it's neat because there's like humans are still humans. We still fight wars the same way we always fight wars, right? We may have gained some access to our solar system and then found some alien tech that's like better than ours. So like that's what your
it's
your
just
events.
enough.
It's just enough. So the
Mhm.
guns and stuff that we're still using are still regular
So-
guns, still regular equipment, stuff like that. So you're not seeing dudes in like Battlestar Galactica helmets and shit like that.
Nope.
And it fits into the narrative, and it's explained very well in that universe narrative that you did.
It's meant to be dirty and grungy.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be like Star Trek glitz and glam. It's meant to be
Lasers
a-
and shit. Yeah.
No, like it is a dirty, grungy. Like what we were trying to do is create something that would allow us to resonate with like military enthusiasts and players, but The reason we thought it was we went this way was because it also opens all the doors to us.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to introduce space zombies,
You absolutely
we
could.
absolutely could, because they're like, who's gonna say no? Who's gonna say no to that? Like, of course. Like, all I have to do is come up with some MacGuffin that says, "Oh yeah, this is why," and you're good.
Space virus.
Yeah,
You
space,
know?
whatever. If we want to introduce something else down the road, which is already slightly been introduced.
You should introduce a surveillance balloon
Oh shit.
from a foreign
Oh,
country.
Have you heard about our
Our surveillance balloon.
Oh, that's actually a Grimnir.
No,
It's a Grimnir
yeah,
event.
yeah.
You're in a Grimnir event right
Right
now.
now.
We're making
All the
the
time.
lore.
That's meta. That's meta.
Have you not heard about our drone? We have a airstrike.
This is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
What are you dropping?
It's about time.
Tagging rounds.
You're dropping taggins.
You drop tagging. So
Like grenades.
Yeah.
Or
no
40
no,
mils?
No. So Logan's the other. So Wes does very elegant stuff.
Yes.
Logan makes things work and goes.
He duct
He
duct
does-
tapes C4 to
Zip
the drone.
ties,
No,
baby.
he does a great job, and so Logan's he does our field builds. He and Wes are the ones out there doing all the building, while Ian and I are shaking everyone's hands and doing the registration, ushering everybody. Logan took a DJI drone, excuse me, and he built a custom device that goes on the bottom of the drone. You can load a tagging round into it, and you can fly it over an AO with the camera down, and you can stop it, and you can fire an airstrike.
And
Very
how exactly
realistic
does it?
to Ukraine.
How exactly
Right?
does it?
Very
So you have
Right.
an independent
He put the trigger on the DJI controller.
on the controller
On
for
the
the
controller,
drone.
so he
Probably just a
Yeah.
switch.
So
Probably-
he modified the code of the.
I don't know what he did, but it was magic.
Yeah, it's
Space magic.
Ukraine. I mean, everyone was talking, in airsoft for the last few years before Ukraine. They're
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so stupid. See the footage? Like,
Yeah.
So Max, you have
For
a call
years.
online too from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. They're early.
Yeah.
They would like to know about this.
Oh my god. No. So we haven't. But the tag, the tag shortage. So we haven't used it since our second event.
So
Yeah.
so
I think
which
it's gonna be
taggins do you
very
use? Do you use the
received
40
very
mil
well.
projectiles,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
but you like drop them?
No, we fire them.
You fire them from the CO.
from the sky.
So it shoots straight down.
Now, how many can you get? How
One.
many rocket pods
One.
can you get?
One.
Okay.
But we have priced out what
Oh,
it would take to
man.
make like an actual like carpet bomb. We know what it would take. We can do it.
I don't think it would be that difficult.
We have the technology.
we've done one, and Logan's
That
like,
would
yeah,
be
we could totally
nuts.
do that.
And now the airsoft community is ready to receive that. I am. Once I started showing Ukraine footage, I'm like, okay.
The weird things with drones and airsoft is
You have to be able.
to shoot the drone.
You have to be able to shoot the drone.
And that's
if it's going to be part of the game, it's going to be part of
Think
the
if
game.
you
you
should
find a
use
way to make a
something-
drone that can take BB impacts and not just
I think you need to work with lasers. I think
so
you
that
need
was-
to do a boom
agree.
beep. It scans and it
Yep.
starts blinking.
That was what we were
Easy.
thinking.
It deploys flares.
Yep.
that is genius.
Easy.
That's
Catches on
exactly what we
fire,
talked about.
Now
falls
you
to
can
the
Fire
earth.
explode.
You can shoot down the drone,
Yeah,
but you can't shoot the drone down with small arms.
Right.
No,
maybe
the drone's too high up.
Right,
The
maybe
drone's
this
just too high up. and you need
launcher's
laser
got
guided.
a thick,
Yeah,
like
that was
igloo.
that was
You could
exactly what we were like.
Yes.
Well, could we use just like
And a laser would legitimately work, and then you can actually get that
Yeah.
whatever that launcher is to work with.
Yep.
Yeah, it's coming. Like it's not too difficult.
No, it's
Be very
it's a
simple.
time thing. It's a time thing. And the way we got around why you can't shoot that drone down is it's an orbital strike. So you've got like your
Oh,
ship out in orbit and
Yeah.
calling in. But like when we did it, we actually made them like deploy smoke and like call in like call
Yeah,
for
yeah.
fire.
Oh, really cool. Yeah, we had the
awesome.
best experience I've ever had with the UAV at your event. I don't know who was running it, but I got him on comms and I said, hey, this is, I don't even know what my call sign was, but I said, hey, so-and-so, this is 3-1. I'm about to clear through the city. And they were like, yeah, Roger, we got you on UAV. And I look up and it's hovering. And they guided us through the entire town.
That's
and we
cool.
cleared out didn't take a casualty. And I was like, this is, I've never successfully, everyone always says, oh, we got a drone. No one actually communicates. It
Yeah.
never works out. But that time it did. And I'm moving and they say, white building, 2 enemy hostiles, right side. I'm like,
That's
that makes
cool.
sense to me.
Well,
It's cheating.
who wants to
Building.
pay?
It was fantastic.
Who wants to pay to play an airsoft event to be the guy that just sits behind the desk and operates the drone?
I would
There's
I would do
people.
it.
It would have to
I
be
would
like
do
an
it.
admin
It's the
thing.
AC 130 gunner. in
Exactly.
Col- you know what I mean?
Like it's It's coming. Think about. I've thought about this for the last few years. AC 130 gunship. I don't think it would be that hard. Like as big. You see some of these RC.
The RC yeah, I know what we're talking about.
They're and they can carry up to like
Yep.
50 pounds or something, it really would not be hard to mount a couple AEGs in there.
Oh god.
It really wouldn't.
The
I've
moment,
really
all right.
thought
So
about
I
it.
looked into this
It's not
because
that
I was
difficult.
thinking of what type of AEG gearboxes and contraptions I
One
can
would
make.
have to be an 8mm.
That would
So it
be.
really, you know.
I thought
big
once you
chunkers
start
down there.
once you start mounting airsoft guns to drones, now it starts to become like
It's a blurred line.
Yeah,
It's a blurred.
yes.
It becomes a blurred line.
But
Yeah.
if you're gonna, if you can do that, you have it staff controlled. Like the staff controls that you call for
They
like
sit
like a
their
warthog
chips,
run,
you know,
right?
just
I think the drone operator has to be on the field and able to get shot and killed.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
like their drones like with them, and then
Right.
it just stops and it's
Well,
just floating there. It's like,
way
what the fuck
back in the
happened?
day when I used to host games when I was like 14, we built airfields, and whoever captured the airfield had control over the which was just a Connex container.
That's cool.
And okay, hey, get a UAV operator in there, and they would go in there, and that way, if you had the airfield, the drones would already be laid out in the airfield, and you could deploy them from the airfield.
That's really
Oh, that's cool.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I think,
I'm gonna steal that.
yeah, you build an airfield,
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that.
We
and
should
then
all
you
just-
you put it there. Okay, we got to go take the airfield because they got drones, AC-130s. Now here's something more realistic that I've really talked with my like engineers about. This is a UH-64 RC. If you look up the RC copters, they're about as big as this side of the table here. They can carry like 120 pounds. If you put an 8mm cannon on that, like it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be pretty cool.
Well, at Zulu 24, we just get a real helicopter and then you go.
Right. Yeah. Now, how does that actually? I don't mean to go too off topic here, but when you're in the helicopter, I've always thought that the BBs in the wind, it would just.
No,
send-
so it passes through the downdraft
Oh, very cool.
pretty quickly. So there is some deviation for sure, but it's not as much as you think. I have been on the rooftop of the mosque and had the helicopter fly over, and it's weird because there's a delay, right? So the
Mhm.
helicopter flies over, you can hear the guy shooting, and then all of a sudden you just get whacked with like all these
the best way to
rounds.
overcome it, and that's
40s,
actually funny that
45
you said that
grams.
because sound travels faster than airsoft BBs. Well, I mean, that happens anyway with gunships, but it's like even more delayed with airsoft BBs. So like you hear it and then you get it. But anyway, what I'm saying is the best way to overcome the downdraft they do experience is just high FPS, high air volume,
Yeah,
heavy BBs.
45-gram BBs.
Yeah.
Like that'll
Right.
probably.
Just power through
Yeah,
it.
that's pretty cool.
It's not even that much. I mean, to be honest with you, you don't need too much to get through it. I mean, the prop wash is you're through it so fast. I mean, it's a Robinson R22. So what's the span of the rotors? I'll just say 30 feet. And you're at the center of that, so you just have to push through 15 feet of turbulent wind. I mean, think about how far does a BB travel, even at 350 FPS?
Yeah. Okay. That's very
traveling
doable.
15
it's
feet
fast.
is nothing. And we've done it. I've done it a bunch in the beginning when I had like a saw and everything, so I could actually see where my BBs are going. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I think
Freaking awesome.
it's
It's a cool experience.
Roping that back into the drone stuff, though, I think it's definitely doable to do a UH-64, park it at an airfield,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
capture that airfield. Let's get an operator in there, just get with his chips and Mountain Dew. Like, definitely, it comes back to the airfield, it lands, pour your 45 grams in there, okay, and then it goes back out. I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
you can incorporate kill
possible.
streaks as
Oh.
as rewards for
I don't know about
completing
that.
objectives.
So we did something similar. So at our second event, if you captured an area, that's how you got access to the orbital strike. But like, I'm with you. We actually just recently talked about how could we increase this feeling of scale, right? Because our narrative, like it's a
Planets.
massive scale. So like to me, I've always been like, it would be really cool to be a player, and like I'm fighting, like there's an air battle happening over there, and like, oh, they're coming in, they like do a gun run on us. Like that's where we eventually want to get. So we were just literally just talking
it's
about
where
like,
the
could
sport
we-
is of airsoft is going
you
in
have
general.
to you have
People
to
want
try
it.
and get that scale. That's what people
Yeah,
want.
we
right?
just need those RC. Like I think, I've got some great engineers on my the best. If you go on our website, bluemagairsoft.com, you can see the people that are behind Blue Mag, and there's some damn smart people. And I think if we came together with a couple other people, I think that
I think we should get our engineers talking.
easily,
I think we should
easily.
lock them in one of your warehouses for like a month. Or
Oh
so.
my gosh,
Yeah,
like I'm the visionary. I can just say I've got this idea and I'm going
That's-
to do it. Right, you've got a visionary and then you've got a builder,
Yeah.
and so I'm the visionary, and then they're like, yeah, well, we could do if we put this on top, and then So I think if a couple people came together, we could knock something like that out in a
Figure
couple
something out.
weekends.
Yeah, we could. We can figure something out. It's time, man. Time is such
Yes.
it's such a
It's a valuable resource.
You brought
valuable.
up 8mm BBs in the
Mhm.
context of airstrikes. Now, as far as just like small arms in airsoft, 8mm is just obsolete because you're gonna have to shoot so hard. It's just
Yeah.
But for airstrikes,
It's coming.
because all that turbulence just from coming down from the wind, that's
They would.
that you're repurposing. You can repurpose the 8mm BB by incorporating.
Yes,
it
you
into
you have
aircraft.
to. I mean, if you're gonna have something of that caliber, you need it to be like when we talk about gun runs, we say, "Oh, he's coming in with an A10, and an A10 has a 120, I think, on it."
Oh,
120
no.
millimeter.
It's,
A10's a 20 mil cannon.
It's a
Hold
20
on.
mil cannon.
Is it 20 or 30?
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
So that
Look that
thing
up real
comes
quick.
down, that's what I want to be saying. I don't want to keep airsoft in the same caliber, hint of these long-term plans for Blue Mag and stuff. But I would like to move it up to where, hey man, you pull the sniper rifle out and it's like, oh, that's an 8mm.
Yeah.
That's how I want to see.
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I don't want to
like-
be like, oh, does that take 6mm? No, it's an 8mm.
No, I get. Yeah,
I think that would be really cool.
I agree with you.
So you got a bigger gearbox, bulkier spring.
Yep.
You got to
Yeah.
boom,
Yep.
send that thing. I mean, it
So-
just would be awesome.
The
This one's
A10 has
5.56
a-
and this one's
the-
308.
The A10 has a 30 millimeter cannon.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
30.
30. That's pretty
Depleted uranium.
bulky.
That's
Yeah.
7
It'll
barrel.
It'll get you.
30mm BBs.
Yeah, it's
30,
7
oh,
barrels.
that's
That's
like-
3,500
You'd be
rounds.
killing me.
3,900
Yeah.
rounds per minute.
Jesus.
I think you could probably go up to a 10mm. Now, what's
Oh my
interesting
God,
is
Jesus.
What's the jewels on a 10
the
millimeter?
EG67s. If you crack them open, they used to have the Ps, but now they have the clay.
Yeah.
And those are 8mm.
Yeah.
They're pretty hunky.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that's definitely in the future, and I think it sounds like you guys are already talking about.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like, and that's why I think like the fact that we've been talking, right? You've been talking to Ian, I think mostly,
Yeah.
right? I'm kind of a hermit, but
Who,
like
who manages? Oh, well, this is a stupid question because I already know. Social media is probably like 4
Ian.
people.
Ian,
Oh, okay, Ian.
Ian,
That's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Then.
yeah,
Because we have about
it's all
five-
Ian's fault. Everything is Ian's fault.
We have about 4 different people that manage ours, so you could get anybody. Hi, how are you doing? Blah blah blah, and then well, I talked to so and so, and it's like, when? Like
I used to lurk. I used to lurk around, and then it just no. Ian.
So Ian's the social.
Ian's
guy.
the
That's what I'm
social
talking
guy.
about.
Ian does like all the marketing. Ian does the videos. Ian's our media guy, and he it's Ian.
I see.
It's Ian. So we all have our little niche. I've moved more into that visionary, like, hey, this is the, let's move the pieces around. But like, yeah, we've got Ian doing all that stuff. I have an allotment of being social. We call them social tokens, and I expend them all whenever we run a games. So Ian does all the outreach.
Not to
Oh,
be
I
mistaken
see.
with social credits.
Yes, not at all.
Social. I see what you're saying. So you drain your tank.
Yeah, I drew my take.
I see.
Yeah, so that's
So tonight will be a lot for you.
no, I like you guys. It's fine.
Okay,
Oh.
all right. Okay.
You hate everybody else.
Yeah, that's definitely. I
but-
think you sound more like the visionary in kind of this conglomerate of people you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, it's I did a lot of the initial like groundwork for. I'm the only one who can read and write as well. So I do a
Oh,
lot of
ouch!
I do a lot of
That's why your social media person's so bad at spelling.
I know. It's okay. He tries. He's very pretty. But no. So I did like the rule writing and stuff, and that's just where I've been. So, but we're up and running now, and Ian's taking a lot more of a lot more. All the guys are. They're all getting out there and doing everything a lot more, and it's been really good. Like Logan's working on something that should be coming for ArcLight.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited about ArcLight. And now is that a what did you say?
Operation.
It's an operation.
Yep, it's
Okay,
an
right.
operation.
It's 3 days long, so you're going to be.
Yep. So we'll probably have like a night op like we did at Hammerfall, which was pretty well received. I thought it was a mitigated chaos, but I'm also a perfectionist, and it's a lot different from my perspective. You've run games. Like you sit there, like everyone's having a bad time. Everyone's like, that was a great night game. You're like, what was even happening?
Yeah.
Like I thought people were getting lost, but so we'll probably have like a night op, and then it'll be Saturday late into Sunday or early Sunday morning, so like 2 a.m. And then we'll break, let everyone get like a couple hours sleep, and then we'll blow everybody up and start again till Index.
Now
Nice.
that's the game at Skirmish.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a 40-hour continuous game.
No.
Yeah,
Although
June 9th, 10th, 11th, right?
yes,
I can get up to get water, right? I'm not
Yeah,
going to
you're
be yelled at.
No, you're fine.
Sit down.
Do you guys want to take a break?
No, I'm good. I just need some water.
Yeah, actually, let's take
We
a
can take a break.
let's take a quick break because I
Take
want to try to
5.
change gears here.
A word from our sponsors.
So not one last thing, but so we have a player submitted question. We actually canvassed the internet far and wide and asked the community if they had any questions for you guys, and then Instagram shadow banned the post.
Oh, cool.
So
I get it. It's fine.
Yeah, that happened.
yeah,
Wow.
so
That's fine.
but one snuck through. So does Grimnir have any plans to move out of the East Coast? And I don't mean like but like run games out of the East Coast, outside of the East Coast.
Yes.
Specifically, like this specific person was asking for Texas and Oklahoma, I believe.
So we don't have like a specific state.
Yeah.
Hold on. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear
Oh,
you.
weird. So the answer is yes. It's just when. I mean, that's it. So a big piece of for us is, you know, we're still young. So like I said, we ran our first game in September 2020.
Yeah.
Do the math that we've only been doing this for 2 years and we've gotten a lot of really good traction. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And we're looking at a couple AOs south, north, and west for potential for 2024. So we're for 2023. Like last year, we ran a lot of events, and if you look at our trajectory of like what we did from when we started in September 2020 till now, we have been pedal to the metal. And this year, a big theme for us is we're going to run Arclight, we're going to run the thing in August, and then we're going to run and throw posts with you guys again, right? And in between that, we want to go back to our roots a little bit. We want to kind of get back with the players because we started as players, right? We want to get back with the players. We want to go, you know, meet other people. We want to get our finger back on the pulse of like how is everything really, you know, evolved, because we've been really knee deep in our own stuff. We want to get back out there. So 2023 is we're going to run the 3 ops. We're going to put our heart and souls into those 3 ops, and then we're going to get back into everything. And our hope is that during kind of, you know, that more market research phase, we're really focused on getting some AOs in different places.
Yeah, right on.
But the big key is like we just need to keep growing the player base so that we have the oomph, you know.
Yeah, and you need getting your equipment to these. I'm starting to run into this problem myself. It's you know, you got 1 case of ammo, it's 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, we would love for you to come out to Texas.
Next day air.
Yeah, you know, that's going to cost about $3,000 for a pallet of ammo. Like, so there's like some logistical stuff there that I'm sure is holding you back as well.
Yeah. But one last thing on the props, like we can now fit our entire operation, the entire field build, everything with our props and all that kind of stuff. It fits into a couple cars.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So we've been really focusing on sustainment and keeping it small and keeping it light and keeping it fast. Dude, the first couple events we ran, there was like paper everywhere. There was crap all over the place. We're like, what is even happening? So we've been trying to iterate on the operation side a lot. Yeah,
trying to keep things, you would say, kind of like rating tactics.
Yeah.
Like real light and fast. Maybe.
But so we talked about like, and I may steal your thunder a little bit here. I want to know like what you guys are working on. Like we have our props. Like, okay, cool. We talked about props. Like, what are you doing? Good segue. I tried.
Good segue.
I tried.
But I want to try to back up a little bit because we kind of got into your airsoft pass,
right?
Grimnir's airsoft pass. So I want to see.
Excited.
No, we're excited to have you. Oh. I don't want to waste all your social credits.
I knew it was coming. I was going to say it too,
sorry,
but you took it.
I'll sit here quietly and I'll sit my.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So Austin from Blue Mag Airsoft.com.
Yes.
The ubiquitous airsoft question: how and when did you start playing airsoft?
I think it's really important to start that way. We can just do this in a timeline, because I think how I got started is really like quite the story. I was going over it last night with my wife, and I was like, this is like pretty interesting story. I've been playing airsoft since I was probably about literally like as young as I can remember, like 12 years old.
Nice.
Like literally my best friend, who's my lead engineer, there's a picture of us like in my backyard and all our stuff. And we lived on we lived in a small town in Jersey next to Rowan University, like on a main road. And this is before guns. It's like, oh my God, he's got an airsoft gun, you know? So we're on a main road, and I'm like, I never went to my first airsoft event until I went to Poco Loco, if you know
Yeah.
Any
El
of the,
Poco
right.
Loco, Yeah.
Yeah.
Poco Loco. So they've got a great community nowadays, but that's the event I went to. Real solid event. Their community is really like a very mature crowd, so I like it a lot. But that was the first event I went to when I was 15. I went to a Milsim event, and it was a whole new world for me. But before then, there's pictures of me and my friends in our backyard. So I went next door and I asked my neighbor, I said, hey, this is an airsoft gun, and they're from Africa. And they were like, oh, what can we do? And I'm like, well, we have these airsoft guns. Can we use your yard? So it was like 2 houses right next to each other,
Oh shit.
and a backyard and a front yard. Front yard was on a main road. People walking back from this university next door. And I'm like, okay. And they said, yeah, absolutely. No problem. We'll put dents in anything. No.
Yeah.
And this is before things really, the AEG, like
Yeah.
it's 350, 400. I think this is like in the early 2000s. And so we start playing. We start inviting friends from church and from school. Next thing I know, I got 30 kids running around on my property. Like I've been hosting events for a long time.
Yeah, right.
And so we're running around. There's people in the streets. People are coming back from, no joke, people are on the sidewalk, like hitting the dirt. Because some dude's got an AK-74 and he's just ripping it. And some other dude's got a saw on a tripod in my front yard, and there's cars in traffic like staring at us. Like, what are these kids doing? And we're just running around, just ripping. And I built out of my garage, I take all these cushions and stack them up and like make bunkers, and kids are just running everywhere in camo. And like, it was absolute chaos. And my mom would open up the door and she'd be like, hey, you guys want pizza? And we'd all run inside and, big pizza party. And there's some pretty crazy pictures on my Facebook if you really dig deep a little bit. And he's laughing over there. Man, you can find some pictures, man. You're like, oh my God.
Wasn't America
I would
great?
like to find some of these.
Dude,
Yeah, you really did.
thinking
We
that
should have pulled those up.
that great story is making me so depressed.
Yeah.
'Cause kids don't.
It's impossible. So
Yeah.
let me get to that point of what happened, because you're like, oh man, so then we start getting a little bit older. Like I'm like 15 now. I go to Milsim. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is where it's at. I'm getting my ass kicked and stuff. And then 16 years old now, AEG comes into play. So everyone's taping up my orange tip and putting silencers on and suppressors and
Fighting age males.
And
Yeah.
we're all of a sudden now we're 6 feet tall. And there's 36 feet tall teenagers in full camo running around in this little area.
Looks like the shootout from Heat.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And so I specifically remember running. We flanked around the front of the house and just ripping it. There's tiles flying off my front house, like glass breaking. My mom's like losing
Real
it.
as shit though. It was like awesome.
It was awesome.
Immersion.
Awesome. And even like with the two houses in between there was a little gap area where you could flank around and go in between the houses. It was incredible. I even had a treehouse in the back that I turned into this, like, it was like a kid's treehouse. You have the swings and stuff.
Yeah.
No, man, that
Barbed
thing was
wire.
turned into a barbed wire bunker. I even put hinges on it where you could flip it open like a kill and then just mow people down and shut it. Like, so it just looked like this gymnasium in the back with all of this plywood. I used to go around with a wagon and plywood and build this bunker, this machine. And so then we're running. I specifically remember I'm screaming. We flank around. We all run out of ammo, so we have to run back to the other house. And this one guy's on the street just with his head down, walking on the sidewalk. I'm yelling, fall back, fall back. I grab him and I'm like, fall back. And he's looking at me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. Like, and he's like,
Your
no,
elderly neighbor.
like, oh, okay, man. I'm like, he's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, oh, we're playing airsoft. And then like kid comes around this corner, starts shooting. I don't know. And then like he jumps on the ground and I jump on the ground and I'm like crawling back to the base. I mean, you can't even imagine this stuff. Like, and
Dude.
so then like 16, 17, finally the cops show up.
I was gonna say the FBI.
Yeah,
shows
The
up.
FBI, yeah. So the cops are driving by. We see them.
So then we got tag and launch.
So the cops fly by. We see like multiple cars, and we're looking and we're like watching them. They're like staring at us, and we're like, oh well. So we just keep playing.
Oh shit.
And people are in full multicam now. Baseball caps, like ear protection, and they fly by. They fly the other way, and they're still looking at us, and they're like, no, that can't be them. And then finally they show up and they're like, oh yeah, we just like arrested some dude mowing his lawn in camo pants, like, because they just couldn't believe that what we were doing. Like they were like, they almost were just like, no, we didn't see that.
Yeah.
So finally they come over, they say, okay, guys, like this is insanity. Like people are ducking for cover on the side of the road. And I'm like, all right, so what they don't, this wouldn't happen nowadays. Nowadays we'd be on the face dead or, so, but what they say is, okay, why don't you guys just keep it to the backyards? So they cut out the front yards and now we're in the backyards. So I'm like, cool, no problem. Roger, dap it up with the cops. See you on your way. So we move it to the backyard. Now it's just ripping glass, breaking shit, people jumping over sheds. There's 2 sheds back climbing on top of the shed. I mean, it was just insane. So
Got a lot of sheds.
Yeah,
we had, I think, 3.
Everyone just lives in a shed.
three sheds, I think, in the back, and we used to climb on top of them. I mean, people falling through the roofs. It was insane. So
that clip of like FBI?
yeah. Where they're screaming, smashing stuff. That's literally my backyard. So finally, it all comes to an end when I think the cops showed up again. They said, you guys are done. And we're like, okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it was just crazy childhood. That's like what I did. I built these events and invited everyone I knew. And it was just like, so yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. And finally, my church buys a new property. And lo and behold, they have a 25-acre slot of land across the street. And I'm 17 at this point. I'm like, I could do that. I could host events over there.
Tax-free too.
Tax-free. So
It's a religious gathering.
yeah, right. So
we should
I
become
don't
a
know.
church.
That
It's
might
owned by
be
the church.
it's incredible, yeah. So they were like, "Oh, sure, man, you guys and your toy guns, pew pew," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." So, I sign up. I enlist in the Army. I'm like, "Oh yeah, Ranger, Army, Sniper, like," ugh. And like airsoft, it's gonna be just like the same thing, And
Exactly.
yeah, so I enlist. Everyone's like, well, what's going to happen to the organization when you leave? I'm like, I don't know who's going to run this stuff. So, I do, I think 2 events there, and there's a street in the middle. So, you literally had the militia crossing the street, and I advertised to the church. I said, if you want to come out and shoot, with your son. So I buy over $5,000 worth of rental equipment, and I just rent it out to people, sign waivers, this and that. And then I say, well, we're going to need transportation. So we have 2 pickup trucks that pick up the militia, drive them over to the combat zone, drop them off, and the other enemy team is over there waiting for them.
Oh, jeez.
And so it's just like this slaughter, and then the trucks will come back and pick up the next group of people, drive them over, dump them into the combat zone. And then we would get the dead out by loading them in the back of the truck and then taking them back. So all these trucks are driving and people are getting out. They're like pouring water on their head. All you hear across the street is, and I'm just like, yeah.
That's how exciting airsoft is.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are so many people that were just on board, participating in what you were doing at the time.
Yeah. They had no idea what they're getting themselves into.
Oh, yeah. Did anyone actually understand what they were
No,
gonna do?
I
What
was
gonna
like, this
happen? Did
is
anybody
like
got on
World
the
War
truck?
One.
One guy thought it was a hayride. He was
Yeah.
It's like an
Cool.
8-year-old commissioner is like, yeah, let's do this. Oh my God.
just a truck ride.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just threw them. We just, all right, yep, just bodies. Just dump them over. Like the real players need bodies to shoot at. So, I leave for basic training, and that's it. That whole organization falls apart when I leave, and nobody ever does anything. Picks up the mantle. Like we talk about visionaries and stuff. Like I'm the visionary. I have a bunch of friends with potential, but they just, they need a little push.
They need leadership, man.
Yeah.
You were the leader.
So that whole thing falls apart. I'm in the Army. I'm active duty for 4.5 years. I'm out with the 101st. Never go to Ranger school. Never do all this cool guy stuff. I was a shitty soldier, I'll be honest. I was a shitty soldier. I just did not, see it coming. I was like, man, this is gonna be real cool. But I didn't realize you get 5 a.m. white glove room inspection. Dust, take your whole room, set it up in the courtyard. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this? Why am I doing this? I want to go over to Afghanistan. Come on. So
Can't go to Afghanistan if your bunk is dirty.
yeah, it's just like this nonsense. So I was a real shitty soldier, sick call ranger, wanted to get out of everything. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is dumb. And then I'd go home and talk, I'm with the 101st. It's no big deal. And wow, man. And then I'd go back to my unit and they'd be like, yeah, we're not going to send you anywhere because you're the biggest piece of shit. So just stay in the barracks. So they all deploy. I'm just sitting in the barracks eating Doritos, playing video games. That was my active duty career. And then I wised up a little bit at the end and switched over to the guard. And in the guard, I was like, all right, I'm not going to make this like an F up. So I switched gears. I'm like, I'm going to become a sergeant. I'm going to get my stripes and I'm going to lead soldiers better than how I was led on active duty. And like, I'm going to get overseas, whether it kills me. Like, I'm going to make it happen. So in the guard, they finally start talking about deployments. And I'm in nursing school. That's actually what I do full time. Is I'm a registered nurse.
Good for you.
So yeah, it's like
Damn.
the worst job ever. But
I can imagine.
well, you know, we'll get to that. I'm trying to just get through this stuff because I think it's relevant to where Blue Mag is now, because it all really ties into everything. So, so yeah, the guard finally deployment comes, and I go to Djibouti. We talked about this 3.5 years ago. Me and you had this conversation before you even really knew who I was.
Yeah.
And I finally get to go to Djibouti, but I had a special mission before I went. I went to the Air Force's Phoenix Raven program, which is like their ranger school.
Yeah.
So they have like this really intense, and I was not ready for that. I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I was like in the best shape of my life. But so that was the mission overseas, was you were going to fly into austere environments and you're going to secure the landing zones. And I was like, cool. So I went over, and that's what we did. We flew to Somalia, Mozambique, Kenya. I went to all these crazy places. Like, I mean, it was like the coolest deployment I could have asked for. I mean, it was like incredible. So my home base was Djibouti, but for the most part, I ran missions out of Djibouti, flying in all these other countries. So, and then I got my stripes, and it was like, so then I had like 8 guys under me, and then came home, and then I was like, that's it, I'm done. Like, did what I wanted to do. I'm gonna do something else. So I started working as a nurse full time, and I just hated it. Like, absolutely. Oh my God. The only thing I've done is emergency medicine.
Yeah.
So the only thing I've done is ER, because I'm like, yeah, ER, like it's cool.
Yeah.
Like
It's,
cool.
it's the front line.
It's front lines, you know? So I had 2 other veterans in the ER that worked with me. These guys are the saltiest mother effers I've ever seen. People come in, freaking body parts on the stretcher and shit, and they're like, yeah, he's dead. And they just walk away. And I'm like, this, even all the years of my military and stuff, you know, experience, blah, 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 never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Like people just coming in, I mean, these guys were so, what's the word I'm looking for? Desensitized to this stuff. I'm like, hey, Austin, can you go in the room and wrap up that body? I'm like, sure. So I go in there, you know, okay, we'll pull him to the side. Like he rolls over, a bunch of guts pour out all over my shoes. I'm like, ah. And they're like, all right, just get him in the body bag. And we're all like, zip him up and stuff. And I'm like, I've never done anything like this before. So it's like a culture shock to me.
Sure.
And that's when I knew, like, I don't want to do this forever. Like, I just ain't doing this stuff. Like wiping ass and disimpacting people. If you've never disimpacted people, you really should give it a try sometime.
What is disimpacting?
No.
You know what it is. What's the only thing that gets impacted besides a tooth?
What is getting a tooth impacted? I'm not a nurse.
No, not impacted, disimpacted. It's the thing pulling out as opposed to putting in.
So disimpacting.
What comes out of you?
There's an exit hole on your body. Which one is it?
Oh, like when they die, they
No.
void their bowels?
No.
It's just somebody, let's say you're an
I
old
slipped and
person.
fell on a banana.
So they're in the hospital. And 90% of the patients are old people that have constipation. I mean, that's the nature of it.
Oh, they're experimenting.
No.
So for instance,
They slipped and fell on a
was
banana.
trying- well, because
How
you
else
weren't-
am I going to interpret?
yeah, that was
Well,
pretty
'cause
bad.
You weren't
Jordan,
like,
come on.
you weren't getting the proper part of the body. I just didn't want to say it's your asshole.
What else is a banana going to slip in? With
That was
Your mouth?
pretty bad.
I don't know. What are you doing with
Why would you have to
bananas?
fall on it like that?
Anthony, what are you doing with bananas? We had bananas here. I ate one. I'm just kidding. We don't have bananas here.
What are you
Besides the
doing with
bananas,
Wash it first?
the disimpacting is when you actually, you know, laxatives don't work, so you can't get this stoppage out of your
Sweet summer
intestines. So
child.
you got to stick your hand up there and you got to pull that stuff out. Like you
Nice.
quite literally there, you're like pull. So you're sitting there, old ladies, just legs up in the air, and you're with the doctor.
Oh.
It's like when the dog eats candy wrapper, but worse.
Yeah, so you got to get in there, and their legs up in the air, and you're just disimpacting this old lady. And that
How
that was
long-
like a daily thing for me.
How long of those gloves do they make?
Oh, they're pretty long, and they're strong.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what if they're like triple gloving and stuff? They're like, dude, man, these gloves are indestructible. I'm like, cool. So I'm in there just disimpacting old ladies, catching urine, just like the stuff I can't even like nurses, man, put up with so much BS. It really blew it was a culture shock. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be doing this for 40 years. And I had been playing airsoft, even when I was in the Army, I played airsoft, kept doing it, but never really reinvigorated those fields I used to run and stuff like that. So what allowed me to do that was when, you come back from deployment, you got a good chunk of money and stuff. So I had that deployment money. I was like holding on to it like desperately, like I'm never gonna. That's what people don't know about the Guard is you do pretty well.
That's your tax-free. Yeah, especially if you get was it hazardous duty pay?
Yeah, you get combat pay over there. We got everything. Yeah. Combat, hazardous duty pay, separation pay, BAH, and I had nothing. I put all my stuff in my mom's house, so I just saved my money, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like do something with this, and I just didn't know what. So I was in the ER, just really get my ass kicked, but I became real good. I was like the bomb. I come in there, C&I, throw that IV in, start this. Like I started to get real good, and then I taught myself during the pandemic how to trade, like how to trade stocks and stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm getting pretty good at this. And then, do you guys remember AMC and GameStop?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh, you got in on that?
Oh yeah.
That was
the recent thing with GameStop where it just like plummeted to.
Well, it took about a year, but that is what allowed me to get, along with the frustration of like where I was at in life, what allowed me to catapult into Blue Mag was because I took a very large sum of money and I essentially took a chance. And I was like, hey, I've been following this for a while. I was on Wall Street Bets in like 2017.
Yeah.
And I followed that for a long time. And I was like, hey, GameStop's like $15. Now it's $30. And I'm like, I think I'm going to do something pretty crazy here. So I took a large sum of money and I put it on that. And overnight, the next morning, I woke up and I had it changed my life. Like
sell.
So I didn't sell. I sat there with my wife in our 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in Philly, and I'm staring at it. And she's like, I'm like, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know. And this wasn't like normal stocks. These are options. So I'm not even going to get into that, but that's like something I really am good at. And so I'm sitting there staring at it and I'm like in shock, in shock.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my hands. I'm like with the mouse, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So she's like, let's hold it for another day. And I'm like, okay. So I can't sleep that night. I'm just sitting up. Not. Next morning it goes, I think at this point it was like 400. Next day it goes to 500. Ugh. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was in at like $30.
Yeah.
I'm out.
So
I'm out.
That's what you think, but there was a psychological, experience. I've never, I can't even explain it, that it was like, you just don't know what to do. You're like, okay, if I hold this and GameStop goes to like 800, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, but you also know in the back of your head that GameStop sucks. like as a company, they just suck.
The internet is what made that stock blow up.
No, I know. And you had to have known that as well, that it was being falsely inflated.
Yes, it was being falsely inflated by a bunch of apes.
So when it does, so when it does fall, it's gonna crash. So it's like,
what do you do,
man? Like, when is that prime time?
Yeah. So I promise all this is relevant because I couldn't have done anything I'm at without this incident happening in my life.
Yeah.
And or without the deployment, because that's what allowed me to do it. So I sleep, I wake up, it's like $500. I'm like, and this is the peak, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to sell like a good portion. So I sell a good portion and I'm sitting on the rest, and it starts to, and I'm like, oh my God. And it goes -10, 20, 40, 40, 50. I'm like, oh my God. And so then I click, sell, and I can't sell. I can't get out.
Yeah.
And then it shoots back up again, and boom, my order catches and I'm out. Everything funnels out.
It was up.
And literally once it hits the top, it goes all the way down to $40.
Yeah.
People lose millions overnight. And I'm sitting there
one, like trying to sell it.
Yeah.
Like,
Come on, man. There were so many orders. The volume, I remember looking at my little metrics thing. The volume was so insane that it crashed like my entire system, my setup I had, and I couldn't get out. Some miracle, it executed the order. And I sit there and I'm like, like my wife is just staring at me. And we literally sat there at the table like this, just staring at each other.
What
like
a roller coaster, dude.
like, oh my God. And we're like what? Like, just,
I'm sweaty, and it's not even my
Right?
story.
it was
Like,
insane, man.
Yeah.
Was that around
Insane.
the time where they froze the stock?
They froze it on Robinhood and
yeah.
a couple of, so people couldn't get out. But I was on Schwab at the time. Even Schwab, I was sitting there, like trying to get out, and it still said the ticker you're looking for doesn't exist. And I'm like, oh my God, like come on. I put like 30 orders in, and eventually just all executed. Somehow I escaped, like with the skin of my teeth. And so then I'm like, I go into work the next day. I'm sitting on the desk, and I'll never forget this guy's name. Well, I shouldn't say his real name. He's a patient.
Jim
and
Bob.
all that stuff.
Absolutely not.
But
Jim Bob.
we'll call him. I don't even know. Kyle. So Kyle, this patient that comes in every day, treats our staff, throws stuff at our staff, tried to shank me one time.
Nice.
I'm sitting there, and he's like in the corner with like something in his pocket. I'm on the computer, and one of the mental health workers, like, he's like, what? And he's like, grab him. And I grab his arm, and he's got a knife in his hand. I'm like, dude, he almost just freaking killed you. Do you realize that? I'm like, damn. So this guy's there again. He comes up to the counter, throws a bunch of stuff in my face. And he's like, I'm trying to get out of here. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so I turn around to the charge nurse. I'm like, hey, I quit. She's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm going home. I'm done. I'm retired. And she's like,
I'm retired.
and she goes, no shit. Yeah, word for word. So then she pulls out the schedule for the next month, and she's like, and she just starts crossing off my shifts. And everyone in the whole like nurses station is just staring at me. Like the whole place went quiet. All the doctors and stuff are just staring at me. And I'm like, yeah, I won't be here for any of those shifts. I'm retired. And they're like,
Were they like, fuck this guy?
yeah, they were like, bro, this guy just screwed us over. Yeah. Like, we need nurses. They're so shorthanded. And but I'd had it. I was like, I'm done, man. Like, I'm gonna build Blue Mag. Like, that was my thought. So
Were you thinking Blue Mag?
I
Did you have
was
the
like,
name?
I had the name because I bought a 3D printer that same night, and I went to my wife. I was like, hey, I want to make blue airsoft BBs. And she's like, cool, yeah, let's design. So she designs a whole mold online. We start 3D printing the BBs, which is near impossible, by the way.
Yes.
But my wife did it somehow. I don't know how, but she 3D printed thousands of BBs. I have no idea how she did it. But so, yeah, I just go to my locker, emptying out, and I'm leaving, and everyone's just staring at me. And I just walk out, and I just go home, and I'm done. And I'm like, I mean, it just was like, it was an incredible like moment.
So what was the journey from like that moment in time to like kind of like the so you started it, right? So
Yeah.
what was that journey like between when
Yeah,
you went
so-
home and then
So I go home. I'm like, I'm going to start Blue Mag. So then I immediately get online, file Expedited LLC. I'm like, I'm going to make airsoft BBs. So I start doing research. I'm like, is anyone making these in the US? Like, I hate all this China crap, man. Like, I hate it. I don't want to be dependent on this crap over there. I just want to make things, I want to make them unique. I want to make them better. So I find out nobody knows what the heck they're doing, especially in the industry of, plastic parts. You go to these experts and you show them a bottle of those, they're going to go, I don't know, man. Like, nobody's got any idea how the heck to make these things. So I'm like, I'm just going to make them. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to figure it out. So then I go home. Now I've got all the time in the world. I'm just sitting there on the computer, just researching, building, I sit down with my wife. I'm like, let's build like this logo. Like, how's it going to stand out? And like, so we start building this logo, ordering equipment. Then we buy a house, move into the house. And now it's like, okay, now we got things in motion. Like, I start talking to some experts, and I'm like, experts. Here's the sad thing. The knowledge has left the country. To make something like this or to make something like this, the knowledge is gone.
Oh, sure.
mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what they're doing anymore. The ingenuity, American ingenuity is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think like, okay, he can't be like too serious. But if you go to anybody and you want to make something, just call our Chinese contacts. Like, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad reality, that manufacturing has left America. But I mean, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
And it's always profit. It's always $ driven. And
Yes.
And unfortunately, China, due to their lack of labor laws, they can do things good enough for far cheaper.
Yeah, and their quality has actually gone up over the last 10 years.
Yeah, it wasn't always
as good.
I say good, as acceptable,
right?
As it is today.
But it's very, very difficult. So that realization hit me that like this is going to take some time. So I sit down with all these people. My father-in-law knows a lot of business. He goes, "Oh, easy, man, easy. I got your guy, man. I know the guy." That was always the conversation. Like, I know the guy. I'm like, great. Let me talk to the guy. Sit down. I'm like real excited. Show him a bottle. I got no idea, man. I'm like, what do you mean? You're the expert. Like, how do I make these? And he's like, I'm going to refer you. I know the guy.
He's in China.
Yeah, right. So, I know the guy. He's in Taiwan. I'm like, I don't care about those guys, man. Like, make me this stuff. So, I'm throwing money at this and that and trying to get stuff to work, and nobody seems to got answers. So, we started to build a brand and import like everybody else is doing in order to get to where we want to be. That's what we have to do. So, and a lot of people, I remember we were starting out and I started doing sponsorships with people. And one kid was like, "You're disparaging the flag." And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Your t-shirt, your car, you're disparaging everything. And he's like, no. But you're disparaging our country. I'm like, what is this kind of like? So he refuses to sign up with us because of that. I'm like, well, look, man, we need support here.
So where was the flag that he was all concerned about?
What do you mean? Oh, right.
He was disparaging the...
He didn't like the fact that our stuff was made overseas.
Oh.
What? Yeah.
So what BBs was he shooting before?
I don't know.
What
BB bastard? Because they're made in Canada. They used to be made in Canada. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know.
I've never heard of any other manufacturing that happens in the United States. I know, like I said, BB Bastard was manufactured in Canada.
Didn't 6mm do it?
No.
If there was, I would have.
There's like 5 factories in China that make all the BBs. And it's not just factories that make BBs. You can put in requests to certain manufacturing plants in China to make anything. You have an engineer who has blueprints or CAD or whatever.
For like,
send it to them, say that you want it done at a certain spec. And obviously, the more precise you want it, the more it's going to cost or whatever.
It's real easy to do.
That's the big difference between, of the Chinese brand BBs, the difference between getting Crossman versus BLS.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with Crossman?
A lot.
Crossman spends less money to make those factories have the BB made to.
You just have to be very specific on quality. If you want to just have them just dump them in a bottle for you, they'll do it. But you got to be real specific. But it doesn't matter. To me, it's more important that we actually own that industry. I want to own it. I want airsoft to be owned by the United States. We're shooting guns, for God's sake. Come on.
Not just BBs either.
How do these people know more about this stuff than we do? How are we not the subject matter experts? So
because we're lazy.
We're lazy. And I just, everyone wants something doughy in their mouth and a Netflix show on, but where's the ingenuity? That's what I really want to see. So that's all these brands I started announcing. December Customs, Bear Customs are people that I personally worked with and really help them. I was like, look, I want you to build these for me, and I want you to start the company, and I want you to do it, but I'm going to purchase them from you. And I literally went out of my way over the last year to foster several other companies to start. And the minute I said, if you do it, I will purchase them from you, it became this wave of ingenuity that just came out.
So you were seeding basically
yes,
an American manufacturer, and then you were going to purchase wholesale from them.
Correct, which is it's going to be tough to work with a company. The direction we're going right now is we have to do it.
Yeah,
we have to be, and I could say this with a good bit of confidence that we are the subject matter experts when it comes to this. Nobody else knows more about making these damn things than me and my engineers, because
it opens up a lot of doors for you for Blue Mag as a company,
yes,
because now if you bring manufacturing and the product is superior, who's to say that all these other brands may use you as a manufacturer.
And you're correct.
And,
That's,
so I mean,
we can
that's-
either provide for the industry or we can become the industry.
So many things in airsoft we have imported to the U.S. Like
Everything.
I'll throw max model products.
Everything.
Right?
Everything.
They're
It's
manufactured in Brazil, right? EDGI, manufactured in Philippines, Retro Arms, Czech Republic, Bull Gear, made in not Russia because they move around. They have other places, not Russia.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Bull Gear.
They're cool.
I have distribution with them.
Oh, cool.
I don't know much about their operations, but it's a guy who makes CAD stuff and makes them, like, manufactures them himself, it seems, and then
He's the guy.
sells them. He makes niche parts for things that other companies failed to kind of address.
Well, they're
problems.
3D printed, right?
His box mags are, but it's not just 3D printed stuff. He incorporates electronics into it, and,
If you realize, and here's
and
something
hop-up
that
chambers, CNC stuff.
Yes. Here's something that's really important to understand is that if you haven't noticed, there are 3D printed American-made products. It's really easy. You go online or you just design it. Like right?
Yeah.
My wife can literally go on a CAD and literally go speed loader, print, and I'm like, how did you do that? Like she just designs things, and then my engineers will sit there and just point stuff out, like, and then it just happens. So, so if you haven't noticed, there's a gap between, the heavy duty stuff like this is metal, but let's say there's a gap between this and then 3D printed. So in between, there's nothing in between on how to make this.
Yeah.
If you haven't realized that there's Bull Gear. Oh, there's all these tiny, like some of these like pins and stuff, they're all 3D printed, but nothing is really coming off a hot press.
Right. And you understand this for sure.
Yes.
I don't think everybody gets this, but in order for China to be able to basically buy everybody out, it's just bulk. Like we get better deals by buying things in bulk. They make more profit from manufacturing things in bulk.
Sure.
So they have their methods of manufacturing.
I mean,
and
they
do it on such a large scale at such a low cost.
and they literally make their own tools. Like if a tool breaks, they literally sit there with a hammer and like make it.
And I have to say it. I think that their government's hand in their economy has a lot to do with it, because it's all coordinated deliberately.
Communist, yeah.
I don't want to upset John Cena. I don't want to lose any social credit.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct in that. Yeah, I mean, we could do it. Let me say that, but we're just lazy. We just don't care. So ingenuity is really hard to push.
Well, ingenuity is expensive.
It's expensive.
Yes.
Now, that's the one thing when our American product is obviously going to be a little bit more expensive, but I'm talking a few bucks here. Like it's not going to be, but it is going to be pro grade. The stuff that we produce is exceptional. Like it really is.
The quality would have to be.
It is exceptional.
There isn't. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Say so?
No.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a way as an American company, just because of all the hurdles we'd have to hop over to make a manufacturing plant. I mean, you have OSHA, you have hiring employees, you have all those expenses that like China's just like, how much does a net cost?
They don't care. There's no,
Polar Star manufactures their product, but they don't just make Polar Star. Polar Star doesn't just make their fusion engines or their products. They make other things. They're a machine shop. So they're running multiple operations within one manufacturing
They
plant.
have to.
It's very hard to see in the US one plant that makes one product.
Right. We're essentially becoming a whole another company. Like there's Blue Mag, and then I was literally like, all right, we need a whole another company here. So that's kind of, there's going to be a relationship there where, like I said, there's this gap. I can't talk too much about what is between 3D printing and a hot press, just because we essentially, there's a whole community that's surrounding this gray area. I can't talk about it too much. I'm just not allowed to, but we essentially built our own process. Like we made our own things like to make this happen. And in that process, we became the subject matter experts on these things and subject matter experts in producing. Like over the next 2 months, we have a real cool product that's coming out, and it is not 3D printed. It is coming off a hot press, but it's not coming off a hot press.
What do you do you make anything that's 3D printed that you're selling to people?
No, I don't like the quality. Anything you buy,
Yeah.
if you guys would disagree, anything you buy that's 3D printed, you put it in there, it just falls off, falls apart. It's just not.
It depends.
It's not unmatched quality.
What if you store it in a shed?
What if you're what?
What if you store it in a shed?
If you store it in a shed, it's not good. So his Bull Gear, his M249, I built him. He has the Bull Gear
Right.
mag for
Those
it.
are hot items.
And the way that there's like 2 lids, bottom and top, and the way it's held in is with like a screw that goes down the middle. So there's always tension. He leaves it in his shed that's not insulated. So during the summer, it just imploded on itself. and that's ABS. That's the black.
Yeah, that's the highest.
Sounds like an
that's supposed to
inferior
not do
product to
that.
me. That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
So
if it was
exactly.
like-
So you've got these
cold.
3D printed. I bought a lot of 3D printed stuff because I was desperate for night vision setups for other kinds of stuff for my X-Fog.
I 3D printed this. This I didn't design this, but I just found this arm online.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah, like I said, there's all sorts of stuff that is
Rookie mistakes.
It's fine.
it's my son's bedtime.
that's
Rookie
kind of
mistakes.
sort of. But stuff like this you can find. It's easy, but like I said, there's a gray area there that you from going to your cheap 30-cent 3D printed part to this mold. Yeah, we can do that. We can make that for you. That mold's going to cost $60K, and it's going to cost $30 a part. Even though this guy is selling it 3D printed for $2, but hey, someone's going to pay for that quality,
Yeah.
So-
and also like businesses that manufacture in the US, it's like you're not just paying for the raw material and time to make the thing, but you're also like if they send you a quote to make something that you request, it's going to also account for the money they're losing by not making their normal product. So should I talk about the sniper thing? So I had contacted MDT.
She didn't wait for you to answer.
Well, this is
okay,
this
well,
is a
go
good
ahead. Sure.
this is a good
So-
perspective because it's the same.
Yeah, so I had contacted MDT. Are you aware of them? They make chassis
Yes.
for bolt guns. So
Right.
I'm working on a conversion kit, and it's on my social media, so it's not like a secret. So I'm working on a conversion kit for running like a Wolverine Bolt HPA engine in this actual M700 chassis, so that you can run the UGS stock.
Oh, cool.
So
Very
self-contained HPA, cool stuff. So I contacted them like, hey, this is the chassis I modified from you guys. I sent them pictures, and I was like, I'll send you CAD blueprints, everything. What would be a quote for you to just like pre-modify your chassis off your assembly line? And the quote for like 10 chassis was like $25K. Like, that's not what they sell their chassis for individually.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
it's either real top-notch quality that's too expensive, or it's 3D printed crap.
Yeah.
So we've essentially found this area in between that we can produce quality plastic parts, but we can do it for half the price. We can do it the price. We can beat China. We really can. Like, I don't know what's going on with my eye here. I got like a
And I feel
crying.
He's so emotional
He's
about his
so
product.
emotional.
So
I
passionate.
feel like you guys are pretty responsible with passing the savings on to the customer, because all your BBs, no matter the weight, you get the same quantity in the bottle,
Yeah, you get.
Which-
That's what I wanted, was just consistency.
which I think is awesome.
Yeah. Now, I think the future Blue Mag American made pro grade BB is probably going to be in a 5,000 count. But we're going to keep selling. Even when our new product comes out, we want multiple options there. I don't want to take all of our overseas stuff, because if I cut that off and let's say the volume, we can't keep up with the volume, something like that, then I've got to keep some kind of connection there, and then eventually start to break away from it. But it's going to be some time. Everyone keeps sending me these emails. Hey, Austin, we got this email from so-and-so. He says that he wants American BBs tomorrow. And I'm like, that's great.
Me too.
That's great, man. And it's like, he demands this. And we get this message like, we assume you're releasing American made BBs within the next few weeks. I'm like, what are these guys talking about? Like, where are they getting this information? So yeah, it's gonna, regardless, it's going to take time. We talked about that 1 year update video that I did.
your ISIS hostage
My
video?
ISIS hostage with the light in my face.
Oh, there's like nothing but concrete in the background.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you had like a slightly worried look on your face.
Yeah.
Like, somebody got a gun off camera.
Hey guys,
You better
it's our
say
1 year
this.
update. Yeah, it was bad lighting. We just, like I said, I invested heavily in a good studio now, so my newer content is much better lighted. I'm more calm and stuff. And
Speaking about your content, it's funny, as I was doing I was doing the internet stalking of both of you guys, both of your companies, right? Before you come on, that's kind of how I generate
Still
topics
creepy.
or whatever. And it's like all of us sitting here. We have 3 completely different styles of promotion, right? You've got Grimnir, rich storyline, long videos, good, like good quality, like production value, that type of thing. And then you got Austin from Blue Mag that just ADD shoots out shorts, effectively shoots out shorts. Like for every 2 Grimnir videos, there's 5,000 Blue Mag videos, and then you got Zulu right in the middle. We're just like stumbling through everything.
There's still some days where I'm throwing shit at a wall hoping it's.
You do though. When I look at my feed, there's I think 400 people we follow, and every damn day, man, it's a Zulu picture. Like this weekend, I'm like, damn, these guys.
I'm trying.
He's good.
So hard.
Do you
That
see the
is
bots that comment on the Zulu post now?
Oh, they're great.
Military
See the
Blaze?
bots? Post on
Military
Military
Blaze.
Blaze.
Oh yeah,
That's getting
so,
real popular. Airsoft Blue Gene Operator did that video lately where he tested the ballistic Armaco. It's the Chinese are getting smart, man. They make fake accounts and post Jocko quotes.
Yep.
It's insane.
Well, so
and
the
then
thing there
fake
is-
people comment.
Like with the Instagram algorithm and also YouTube and Facebook, and that's a whole other animal. But with Instagram, if your posts aren't getting likes, comments, shares within the first couple minutes of it being posted, it's not pushed in the algorithm. So like with the post I was talking about where I made the artwork saying, hey, you guys are coming on tonight to ask your questions, posted it at optimal time, didn't get pushed in the algorithm. I posted an open play photo of just like a kid on the field with a cool gun, 250, 300 likes, no problem.
Huh.
But that's the thing, like you're fighting with Instagram because the shorts do better, the reels do better,
Yes,
but
that's-
photos get thrown into the abyss. But if you're not posting 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day, your account will lose traction. And if it loses
Right.
traction, you can't get it back, which is even harder than keeping it. Sustaining it is like a big enough job. Losing it and getting it back, even harder.
That's reels really.
Reels
Get
help.
every reel I post, I get 12 new followers, maybe sometimes 30.
But with the,
like it's
with
insane.
the comments, you will very quickly get your account shadow banned if you use the same hashtags over and over again or the same
Oh,
format.
interesting.
Really?
So if you're hashtagging Airsoft, LARP, Milsim every post, it'll get shadow banned.
Oh.
If you look at the Zulu24 hashtag on Instagram, nothing comes up.
Oh,
Like
very
posts from
interesting.
2016 come up. Nothing from the last 5 years comes up. The hashtag for Zulu24, Zulu24 Airsoft, Z24 Airsoft, shadow banned. Don't even use it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Ian, I hope
I
you're listening
have
right now.
I have
Alright,
a
good to
5 or
know.
6 paragraph page basically saved in my Google Docs that I
You rotate.
copy. I copy the entire paragraph and it's all hashtags and every post is a different one. But when I start using the ones like outdoor, hiking, backpacking, stuff like that, you start getting all the fake accounts because it's actually getting shown.
Oh, that's
And
very
because
interesting.
people are actually
Ah.
seeing it, all the fake accounts are now commenting, trying to get you to share it on Military Blaze or like share it on my account, DM me, we have a follow thing for you. Stuff like that. That means that your post is actually getting shown.
Yeah.
So do delete them because it'll make it look like spam if too many of them are there. But if you're not getting stuff like that, that usually means that your account's not getting picked up.
Okay,
Has
so
anybody
they pay
actually-
him the big bucks.
Has anybody actually ever gone to Military Blaze? Is it like this
I've
cool
looked.
ass channel?
I've looked.
It's just
I
a
ain't
bunch
even-
of
it's just a bunch
chicks
of
just
memes.
doing their thing.
Oh,
You know.
But speaking of memes, like the reels that you make, the meme ones,
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that format at some point. It's so
Oh, they're
It's
funny.
highly addictive,
Oh,
man.
it's so
they're
good.
And I edit a lot of the content because I taught myself how to do all that. So I sit there and I just crack up.
oh, it's
Stuff
great.
I learned in school.
I had a great
and, like,
time.
the stuff
Yeah.
I learned in school and like took classes on, like you can now learn in 20 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah. YouTube's life, man. Like it really is.
I
Change
release,
your
like-
transmission with YouTube. Take a car apart. Like I just sit there the video and just like, like,
Yeah, as long as you follow the format, because even then, like there are some times where I'm editing this stuff and I'm like, fuck, how did I do that?
yeah.
I forgot.
YouTube.
Okay, YouTube just taught me again. Even though I knew it from like 3 years ago. Nope, unlearned it. Let me relearn it again.
Yeah, that's what I did as well to do my ADHD stuff. How do I effectively market this stuff? And my TikTok blew up. I think now we have like 14,000 followers, and that I got 12,000 followers overnight because of one 15-second clip. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure it was one of my meme videos. It got like 400 comments. What is this? Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, I need to start doing this more. So now we just continuously pump out this content of like, here's us using our product, here's us I'm gonna say killing someone. Here's getting somebody out, and then like boom, here's our
Oh, yeah,
website.
because TikTok's big on that,
eliminating
too.
someone.
Like if you
No,
say
yeah.
death
Fainting.
or guns or killing someone on TikTok, your stuff gets
Yeah, so
pulled.
we have to be really careful. I think we got.
You have-
Actually, I think at a point I couldn't post. It
yeah,
would
that,
take down
that
every
happens to
single
some
one.
people. You have 12.5 thousand on TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like TikTok and YouTube now specifically, if you're showing suppressors, the attachment of suppressors, loading a firearm, you will get your video canked.
Okay, good to know.
Good to know.
Keep
Now that
watching
goes for real guns. I don't know how that goes for airsoft because
Yeah,
I know
how
like
do these guys do with all the real guns?
Well, I know,
So,
like, the
operators.
last
So I
month.
know what happens with airsoft. So Real Deal Airsoft, he's made posts, complaining about YouTube as we all do. They're like, my video got taken down. So apparently him showing the inside of a gearbox was showing how to assemble firearms.
Oh,
now is that on
very
TikTok
nice.
or YouTube?
That was YouTube.
Okay, because I know in the last week or so, Demolition Ranch, Donut Operator, and Brandon Herrera have all gotten videos pulled for stuff like that. Like Demo got strikes for videos from 3 or 4 years ago where he was posting suppressors.
oh, his whole
His whole
backlog.
channel. Yeah, but here's the problem with YouTube.
Wow, it's disturbing.
You get 3 strikes and you're out.
Oh, he's
like
probably
they
got-
delete your account, but they also don't delete that one. They delete any account associated with your IP.
Oh man.
So
Oh
he would
my
lose
God.
all 5 of his channels. Donut Operator would lose all 4 or 5 of his channels too. And it's just from because I've read through the YouTube partnership agreement on firearms. It's so ambiguous that you can't even figure it out.
Yeah, it's
All
the way
they know
want
is
it.
that they
probably
got
by
videos
design.
taken down for suppressors and loading a gun. Because like if you look at some of their videos now, they put a big YouTube logo over them putting the mag in the gun, just as a meme. But it hides it so YouTube can't see it.
Yeah,
You
we
do
need
BBs, which is not a gun.
No,
So
but
you-
it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah, yeah.
we
No,
we actually got our stuff pulled for selling unregulated drugs.
Oh,
That's
yep,
what
that happened
we
to
get
me.
pulled.
Airsoft is an
Shop got that.
unregulated drug.
Unregulated
babies?
drugs.
No,
Yep.
airsoft is a regulated drug because of orange tips. It's a regulation.
Yeah, but I
Right,
got
but
like same thing.
BBs,
I
mean,
posted a photo probably April or May of last year of the PTS stocks. We just got them in stock in the store, and it got taken down immediately for sale of illegal drugs and narcotics.
What?
Makes sense.
Yeah,
same
they'll. I mean, it's look. I think we need to, which I'm sure a lot of people have talked about this. That we need to make our own kind of app, like the gun app or something. Which you've got Truth Social now, like Trump's app,
But even then,
but
like,
it kind of sucks.
it boils down to like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Those are the main ones that most people are using. If you make
Right.
your own app for your community, aren't you doing the exact opposite and putting yourself into an echo chamber?
You are,
Because you're
yes.
also not giving yourself an
but I think
opportunity to grow your fan base or
Right.
your viewer base.
I think both would be appropriate. Hey, we're on this. I think somebody like a little American ingenuity, somebody in the airsoft community, I'm sure could get together with a few people and make something like that happen. I think it would not be hard.
I saw a flannel father video. Papa Plaid.
Okay.
Grantham.
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 He's
Mr.
always talking
Thumb.
about Grantham.
Yeah. So he made a video or a post, and basically all those gun tubers, their stance is just like, no, we're not gonna get kicked off of YouTube. Like,
Well,
we're not.
yeah,
We
but-
have like
but
we have
YouTube
to.
can
These
still-
Silicon
I-
Valley
I- I-
companies, like they're
Yeah.
coming for it.
Think of
YouTube can say
think of
otherwise.
movements.
Yeah.
Think of movements in the country that are completely cultural that were kind of kickstarted, brought up by a minority of the population that made a lot of noise and just demanded that they get accepted.
Like the New York Safe Act.
Yeah, I think that you're probably about to say the same thing as me though.
Well, I was
It-
going
it
to say
can
that,
be
but
done. I
also
mean, the playbook's
YouTube
out
can
there.
literally just say "fuck you" now.
Yeah, like you're dealing with something at the scale like global.
It's bigger than
global
you.
That's they
scale.
started working at YouTube first, and then YouTube started doing it. So we gotta start working at YouTube.
I think we could just
Oh,
make
that's
our
what you're
own.
talking
I mean,
Well, I
there's
think- I
other
think that's
stuff. Vimeo. What are these other?
Well, Vimeo is
apps?
good because Vimeo is a free service sharing, much like YouTube.
Right.
But you can't go search videos as easily as you would on YouTube.
Right.
Vimeo is great for sharing content. So, like, if you post a video and you want everyone in your fan base to see it, you can share the link to it.
That's
It's
pretty
very
cool.
hard to go on there and just find like
Just
YouTube.
find videos.
Yeah,
well,
I was
I
skeptical
think someone
on
in the airsoft community could find a way to make something and then slowly. Like I would use that. I think a lot of us would use that. We'd use both, but to reach the internal community, I think somebody made that. It would be, I was talking
Well,
to
that's kind of like
somebody
how
else.
Hop Up started.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
Hop Up's great.
Hop-Up's closed.
Because you used to
Yeah.
have the Airsoft Craigslist group on Facebook that David Lee ran, and it had like 25, 30,000 people in it. And then Facebook changed their rules that you
Yep.
couldn't sell even Airsoft, Nerf, and paintball guns on Facebook. So then Hop Up basically filled that void. So maybe something like that where it's just an Airsofter app.
Yeah, where we can just communicate. Maybe Hop Up is already ahead of that.
That's good.
Maybe
So
that comes
the-
back
So there's
to
some
you.
ingenuity
The
there.
guy who, so I spoke to a individual who's pretty close with the guy who made Hop Up, and he had asked me what my thoughts were on basically adding like a tech community through Hop Up, where if you needed a tech, you go through this database, almost like Union.
Right, yeah.
Angie's List.
Angie's
Kinda.
List.
So Hop Up, I think, has intentions of becoming more than just a buy-sell trade app.
Yeah, now they're doing events. I thought that was cool.
Our ticketing,
Yeah,
our
event
ticketing goes
tickets.
through Hop Up.
Yeah.
So I think that community, as the airsoft community grows, because I mean it's grown. Like from when I was 14, it's massive now. So I think it's really going to start to move there in the sector.
There could be an
Here's the-
argument made that Discord would be the solution here.
So we've so Discord, it's growing. We put our Discord in place, and it's like way more active than we thought. Here from looking at it from an outsider perspective, we've talked about that a few times because again, my background, application development, right? Like I don't code it, but I'm aware of the process. I think the main barrier to that, though. So I think from producers and companies, I think I don't think the market's there yet, though. I think people want it, but I think because in our experience, we've look at our tech at our events, right?
Yeah.
How many times, I can't tell you how many times like we've explained it and people still don't understand how to use the box. It's airsoft is such a manual, physicalized concept that people it's just not there yet. And we are seeing the advent of it, but I don't think that. So did you guys know there's actually a website where that's out there? It has a map of the United States. You can find airsoft teams and airsoft events.
Oh, it's C3.
C3.
C3, yeah.
But it's more or less
That's old.
It's old.
It's very
and it's
old.
more or less a dead application. However,
I put Zulu on that website. By the way.
However,
I put Blue Mag, but if you look at most of the fields and stuff on there, they're
It's very
long
outdated,
gone.
like 2014.
But it's a
2015.
great initiative.
it's a great initiative.
Yeah.
My point is that actually fills a major void that many people want. As far as we talk about jobs to be done, a lot of people want that.
Yes,
I know
agree.
where are the airsoft events? Where are teams I can play with? Who's around? It's there, but the community it's not ready to adopt it for whatever reason. I think that's the key to figuring that out.
I think they are. I just think no one's doing it. Like there's a lot of open world right now in airsoft, like open season to fill gaps, to do stuff. It's just like I said, from $60,000 molds to 30-cent plastic. That's where we're at. So that,
Yeah, but the argument
somehow.
could also be made for conveniency because, like, do
Convenience.
you look at your analytics on Instagram and YouTube?
yeah, not too often. but-
So on Instagram, 74% of our base is between 18 and 35.
okay,
They're on that app already, using the app because
yes.
people message back and forth. There's group chats on Instagram. There's other content in their daily life that Airsoft just nestles its way into, which is why they're on that app already.
Mhm.
Like I can go on and watch cooking videos or see photos that somebody posted, stuff like that, because Instagram's already there. It's the base. It's very hard to break
You
basically
need
a millennial out of that mold.
you need a reason
Yes.
for people to
You need a
adopt the new
reason,
platform.
yeah, for
Which-
them to
which-
go to a new app.
But to the
new
point we're
platform.
making, like if you start seeing, like if Garand Thumb and all the other guys start getting taken off YouTube, that's going to create that catalyst that
Yeah.
For
okay,
that
well
hardcore
now
gun
it can't
community
be
airsoft.
there. It
Yeah.
can't be on that platform.
Yeah.
So whoever can get to market first with a solution that allows that content to get there, great. I do agree that I think I don't know, but I agree with you. I think Hop Up has greater
they
ambitions.
do. Yes.
They absolutely have greater ambitions, and I think that in talking with us, they're absolutely they've got this a similar background. One guy's a developer. Like I think they could do it.
I mean, they could be a one-stop shop.
They could.
They could be buy, sell, trade, selling tickets for
Tickets.
event producers. They could be a bulletin board
Yeah.
for event producers to post their events. They could be
They could be that calendar with all
it's
the
the
right
fields.
they could be the
I'm
list
sure they're
of
thinking.
fields.
They're already.
They could
there
be
with
they
this.
could be the next a place to upload videos. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they could do all that.
Yeah, I think they're way ahead. I'm sure they've already gone to that place in their
Yeah.
minds, and they're probably
just
working.
Yeah, I
on
think
it.
you're gonna. They're on
A lot of
they're
work.
on
A
the
lot
path.
to go on there.
They're on
And
the
that's
path.
same with us. It's
What other who else gets shadow banned a lot?
I don't even. That's like a very vague term because it's like shadow ban, but you don't really know your
So
shadow.
the way that
ban.
you can
Yeah,
keep
you
an
know.
eye to see.
I don't
bridges,
know.
There's bridges between demographics. So obviously, gun tubers and airsofters are like that bridge is almost complete. But like, there's video games and airsoft. There's also
So there's hoops you have to jump through. So with like YouTube now, the new policy changes 2023. You can't curse within the first 2 to 5 minutes. You can't have violence in the first 2 to 5 minutes. Like there's a whole list if you look up the YouTube partner program for what you can and can't do. Now, most of this only applies if you want to be monetized, but also by following those guidelines, you will very quickly not be shadow banned. Because then if you look at Instagram, you can see your analytic tracks for the last 30, 60, and 90 days. If you see an arc and then all of a sudden a dip and it just stays down there for a long period of time, and maybe after 30 days you start to get the retention you were getting before that dip, that was a shadow ban. And that can be the result of gun content, and we're a bunch of airsofters here. It's very easy. And you'll see it because like we had a 2-week run where the Zulu interaction was up through the roof, like highest we've ever seen it in a while, and then all of a sudden the last week it's dropped. And it's because we're back to being shadow banned. But now towards the end of the week, I've seen that by giving it a little bit of a rest and not posting the stuff we normally do, it starts to come back up.
Interesting. Yeah. I think
Instagram's very
ours has been
quickly,
pretty
too.
consistent. So
YouTube
don't know if we
and Facebook are not the final boss. Okay, you remember
No, it-
Parler?
Parler.
YouTube and Facebook didn't take them down. It was Google Play and it was Apple Store. So it was the distributors of the apps that were just like, not Parler. Like,
Yeah, they can.
Get it.
I mean, these
So you can
Silicon
make-
Valley companies,
you can
they
make-
just do
you know, you
whatever
can
the
make
heck
an
they want.
airsoft app. You're just making another Parler. It's like
I was thinking the same thing. 'Cause
There's a
at
final-
what point are they going to say no?
At what point do we just have to be like, look, fuck you, no, like this is a normal
But
thing.
it's
I mean, what point do
but
we have to
it's
start
a-
making our own cell phones?
But as a but
It's
yeah,
like-
Oh, they're all made in China.
Maybe
you know?
the Tesla
Yeah.
Pi phone.
you don't have to put your app on the App Store or on Google. Like you can create a web app and you
Put
can
it
have
on
it
a
download.
website.
Like you can host your own server. The fact of the matter is that those are businesses and they have the right to refuse service. Like
Yep.
that's
Right.
That's
They
how,
can,
that's how
everyone
the system works.
freaked out about
By posting your
what
video
was,
and your stuff on your
Yeah,
content
you
on
are-
Instagram or YouTube, you are arbitrarily agreeing to
Right.
follow their rules.
It's we have to like it, and to your point, like yeah, like let's rebel, but at the same time, like
It's
business,
not
their house, their
rebel.
rules.
It's not
I
break
mean-
their. It's not like break their rules. That's not what I'm saying.
no, I get what you're saying though.
saying like
You're just more of a boycott.
not
Yeah.
even a boycott.
This is more along the lines of everyone that says social media should be considered a public tool.
these people don't
Yeah, but
care.
it's
You know,
not.
these are multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn.
It's
So
private
I-
Well,
companies
so
that
if
you're
we were
still
looking
playing by
at
their rules.
published books, like written books, there's a publisher, and I guess the publisher might be akin to Google Play. Maybe it's a bad analogy, but
No, it'd be like having a blank book
Mm.
and
everyone
having
fills-
everyone be able to fill it
like
in.
imagine
right?
you write a book and that's your First Amendment right. Great, you can write a book, but then there's a company that will refuse to
They
to
do.
print and sell your book
Yeah,
because they're
they
just
do.
like that. Right. So
I mean,
They
they
do.
can do whatever
They do.
they
Yeah,
can
they
do
do.
whatever the heck they
Right.
want. Like
It's
period.
And but to that point, you can self-publish your book.
It's
you
worth-
can literally write a book, go on Amazon, you can self-publish. So
yeah, I mean, it was worth. I think it's worth. We're small now in this sea, like we're small fish, but like it's reevaluating. I guess reinterpreting the First Amendment now with the technology, because there was that, H3H3, they do the thing. So they had a lawsuit with some other guy because they were reacting to his video, and there was a whole lawsuit on fair use and First Amendment. So amendments get reevaluated all the time in the Supreme Court. That wasn't a Supreme Court case, but like.
Fair use falls under not making money or profit off of a video, but also then you can be copyrighted if you're using more than 10 seconds of someone else's content.
I'll be honest, when it comes to government, I'm very much an anarchist. And all this stuff, man. Like, I think if you just carved out an area where a group of people could do what they wanted, I think it would be tribal for sure.
It'd be cutthroat.
It would be
Isn't
cutthroat.
it sounds like sounds like Afghanistan, doesn't it?
Sounds like Tarkov, actually.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Tarkov. Yeah, I don't know. I would disagree because research would suggest that most people in these like extremely harsh conditions tend to work with each other and tend to work together rather than
Well,
working chaos.
Was it Beijing? No. Oh, Chinese city was under colonial rule, and they basically said it would be
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
Hong Kong for 100 years,
Where
right?
like
that was
65% of airsoft stuff comes from.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that ended, but for 100 years they were capitalists. Like that area
Yeah,
was
they
like,
still really very
they
much
still
are.
And
Yeah.
they
have their
flourished.
own.
I don't know. They cracked down because that ended not too long ago.
Well, yeah, that's the
100
big
years or
thing
whatever.
was they also remember they were running around with American flags and stuff
Yeah.
and that like big riot.
That big sign or the
Uh-huh.
photo of the dude standing in front of a tank with a sign that says "America, please help us."
Yeah, and there was
Sure, China
all
loved that.
yeah, there was all of that there, and it was because they were annexing something into Hong Kong. I didn't really understand it, but Hong Kong is very much like that. Any business you work with from United States to China is in Hong Kong. Like all of them are, because it's like a little capitalist
Yeah.
kind of.
I had
Stronghold.
a weird backtrack thought or epiphany, but like free speech, right? Their company, they can refuse your service. But couldn't we argue that internet is a public service because
Yeah, but it's not the
they're-
internet.
I would disagree.
right.
Yeah, but
Google,
we just touched on
Google
that.
owns Google. They do whatever the heck
Yeah.
they want. Even if they ban
like a
Trump
highway-
and do
like a
all this
highway.
crazy stuff, they can do it. You can't argue with them.
tax dollars pay for like a highway.
Yeah, but
and you still have rights on that
You-
highway.
You have an idea about the internet that it's a place we go. It's not.
But there is traffic, and the traffic.
But
It
it's
might
a-
not be the tax might not be monetary, but it is attention and time.
So the internet. Think of it like this, right? The internet.
let the developer
is-
speak.
Yeah, right.
I am not a developer.
I mean,
So
let
the funny thing is,
the
I've deep
visionary.
dived, so when you're done, I'll explain some stuff.
So the best way I think I can attempt to describe it, you'll probably beat the hell out of me with
No,
it.
well,
right?
I've looked into the political aspect of this.
so
let
so
the developer speak.
the internet itself isn't a thing. The internet is a
Yeah.
collection of things, and those things are services that are owned and hosted by the owning conglomerate, right? So that asset, that application, that service, that site, it's part of the internet, but when you're going there, it's like going into somebody's store. You're going
Yeah.
into someone's property. So once that happens, it's not public property. The internet itself, the hosting service where everything goes, that's the thing. But once you go into some place, right, like Google or whatever, it's weird because like when you're well, then what is the internet? It's the sum of all things. It's
the
not
web.
a thing specifically.
See, now
That
if-
is
if-
something that humans weren't
I
ready
think
for.
a Google
It opens
search
up a
engine,
dangerous rabbit
like,
hole too. What if that place was publicly owned?
We're going
Let's say
down
tax
this
dollars.
rabbit hole right
What
now.
if tax dollars paid for that public place? Well, now I'm starting to think
Well,
that's
so,
probably
Anthony,
a
that
really
was-
bad idea.
That was the argument because there's a social political movement to seeing how much money is spent on Facebook for advertising for political campaigns.
Yeah.
So now people are seeing, especially with Twitter, you can ban politicians, you can unban them. And I'm not going to dive into political beliefs there, but it's the fact that people are starting to make an argument that because social media
It's so
platforms are used for
big.
political gains and people can win and lose elections based off of political movements on the internet, that social media is a public commodity. And much like a highway,
Well,
if you're on social media, it should be governed by. I know where you're getting at.
Okay.
Much like social media, or much like the highway being controlled by the government, that social media, you would have your First Amendment right, and you could talk about what you can say, and you can do what you want because you're on social media, which is now a public commodity. But it is still a private business, and they can dictate their terms and their conditions. So I'm not sure where I stand on this, but that's kind of the thing is, yes, people are using it for political gains, but it's also a private company taking their money.
The government
So-
would have to
but so-
compel the private entity, which
Did
is
you see the Twitter,
But
the
so- but
Elon
it's
Musk
not good.
files? I read like a good portion of them. They can do whatever the heck they want.
They really can.
They
That's
can
it.
do what everyone's like it's not fair. Do whatever the
It
heck
is
they
free
want.
speech, but you're still on
Yeah,
somebody
and
else's
it's-
platform. They get to dictate the terms.
Right. So you can't give them crap. Hey, I'm on your platform. It just makes no sense.
It's a
like
slippery slope.
essentially their rights.
We
we have to
do it.
unplug
Right.
them.
A lot
we
of
have
these
to
terms and
unplug.
conditions are also wrote so ambiguously that you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Like I went through the entire YouTube agreement for the partnership program on just the firearms section, and I was left going, I don't know what this means. Can I do this? Can I not? It doesn't tell me what I can and what I can't do. It just says, don't do bad things. But what are the bad things?
So like talking about the political game, think about newspapers.
Yeah.
Before social media, that is what it was used. So has that become public property? No. There was that was never a discussion. And I think the thing that's really flipping this conversation is the scale at which and the availability, it is just so big and it's so ingrained into our daily lives. Like, yes, newspapers, but the same principles can kind of be made. Like before Facebook, that's how you got your information. That's
To go full circle, like we talked about in the beginning,
How-
the government censoring the Japanese balloons in the 1940s because they didn't want mass panic.
Right.
it still isn't a government entity. It's still not publicly controlled. They're private companies at the end of the day.
It's almost like a mega church. It's like a new religion.
Now, talking, about this topic,
what happened?
where is Zulu
By the way,
24?
this is
in
why
the
I'm
state of-
invited on the podcast. This is why I'm like a feature.
Where is Zulu 24 in the state of New York? That's when we're talking about government and all this going down this rabbit hole.
Far away from everything.
There's been a lot, and I get worried about it. The stuff you post way back in the day, I've seen your older monthly updates. Everybody calm down. See Bill C-21.
So there's a constant attack because of Lord Emperor Cuomo and I don't know this.
Well, he's out now, right?
Well, yeah, he's out.
Governor
now.
Hochul.
Now we have a worse person.
Yeah, we have Governor Hochul.
So everybody wants to try to save every life that ever died ever in the whole
All
history of the
19
world.
them.
And I don't want to get too deep down this rabbit hole, right? Because I'm sure most people listening they've probably heard it. It's a dead horse, right?
Mhm.
The long and the short of it is we keep tabs on everything that's going on because there is an agenda. It's not airsoft specific. It's more towards real firearms. But because people are dumb and they don't know the difference, we get lumped in.
Mhm.
So we're constantly keeping tabs on it. And because everyone is an armchair lawyer and government official
and a senator, yeah.
and a senator, they freak the fuck out. And then we sit down and we read it and we're like, it looks pretty bad. Like the first iteration of the bill was stupid. Whoever wrote it, like, absolutely did not know. It was the Replica Firearms Act, right?
Mm.
And
What year was this?
Oh, this is a while ago.
2012.
Yeah, it was longer.
It's an old video, the one you posted.
Well, the
recent-
one you're
well,
talking
there's
about, that
two.
was recent.
There's
Right,
two, yeah.
There's two. So the initial one, Replica Firearms Act, they were like, oh, your gun can't be silver, gold,
Bright blue.
blue, like all these strange colors. And I started looking at it and I was like, these are all like cartel guns in movies. And then blue. And I was like, you know why they put blue on there?
Training gun.
No, because they heard something about bluing on a gun. You know what the bluing is on a gun? The protective coating on the
Oh my
barrels. It's
God.
called bluing.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, so I wasn't worried about that at all. But of course, the internet
That is
exploded.
hysterical.
The second one they came out with was a little bit more comprehensive, and there's loopholes in it, and we're operating under those loopholes, right?
You're currently operating under those.
Everyone is. Everyone in the state of New York is.
Very interesting.
There's basically it's a filming loophole. Like if you're filming
Productions.
Yeah. So in our waiver, if you read our waiver, it says like I agree to be in your movie film.
Oh, I read it every time.
Yeah.
Of course.
Have you seen our theatrical productions?
We make one every month. We're making one right now.
But
Uh-huh.
ours is
You know what I mean?
You'd be
So-
surprised how much of that I've filmed. Like the Zulu post of players playing.
Yeah.
They're
very
all, it's
interesting.
theatrical production. So like
Yeah,
we're
so there's
reffing,
a-
we're
I
filming
see.
stuff, and it's a theatrical.
Yeah,
So-
so I've told every ref, like, if you're walking around on the field and you have a chance, do some video work just so I have extra footage.
Like it's this silly little dance that we have to play, and I think this could have changed since then. I haven't looked at it in a minute, but there was no penal code associated with it.
I'm looking it up now.
So it was like
Very interesting.
it was like, yeah, here's these prohibited items, but you can't have that. You know what I mean? And then like I want to say like 15 to 20% of the people that play at our field are in law enforcement.
That's a good chunk.
It is a good chunk,
Wow.
and it's like
And there's
All right.
accompanying legislation that's separate from the whole airsoft replica gun issue. Where, like, for example, so a big thing with the recent update in that gun, the replica gun bill, had to do with minors under the age of what, Jordan, 16?
Yeah, so
Under
16.
the age of 16, possessing an airsoft gun. Like they
Mm.
couldn't, even if it had the orange stripe, all that stuff,
They still
they
couldn't
couldn't
get
own
it.
it. But then there's some other law where, what was the age? Kids under a certain age were not tried at all.
Yeah.
Unless it was murder. Like,
It's just-
Oh, no, that was only local specific. Yeah, so one of the,
Yeah.
the local areas under the new governor guidelines, they're not arresting anyone under 18.
And then you have all the sheriffs that are just like that don't even enforce the SAFE Act.
Right.
yeah.
Like anything north of Rockland County, unless you've committed another crime, I mean maybe like Rochester or Buffalo, but Like, unless you've committed another crime or you are in the commission of another crime, they're not going to care about your 30 round mags.
Yeah, that sounds like what's going on in Illinois. I don't want to go
Silly.
down that whole in Illinois, but it sounds like, it really comes down to the sheriffs, what they're going to enforce. And I don't think they care about airsoft.
No, and that's we after the second part of the bill came in, I mean, we took a good look at it and we were like, oh man. And as long as you're not doing dumb shit, then you're okay. And there's been no impact on the airsoft community as far as I'm aware.
So
in New York State at all.
Everyone's got stuff to do.
So I've been researching a bunch of it while you guys have been talking. I can't find a penal code associated with it for the entire state of New York except for New York City.
Yeah.
New York City has New York City specific penal code associated to this new law.
Yeah.
But the actual bill for New York doesn't have any coding. So it's just it can't be this and that's that. But for New York City, yeah, you could get in trouble.
That's bizarre.
So we always
It's been like that for a while, though, right? Like New York City.
New York City has.
it's always been.
This whole new law is just kind of bringing the rest of the state to the standard that New York City had set. But like, I'd also say 25 to 30% of our player base is from New York City, and they travel to and from.
Okay, so what you're
It
telling
really
me
boils
is
down to if you just don't act like an idiot and
that-
respect the law and keep your gun in a gun bag and
That's the
don't
other
act
thing,
like an
man.
idiot.
Like, did you
Okay,
see the
so-
videos of that dude taking pictures, like in his full kit, like on a rooftop
That
in
guy
the
played at our
US?
field.
The guy played our field.
Like, dude, what are you like?
Oh, really? Did he?
Yeah.
And did any of that loop back around?
No.
He looked the same at the field as he did in that video.
That was his exact kit.
But
He was
it's
there like
like-
2
Oh
weeks before
my
that.
God.
a little bit of awareness, just
Yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah,
awareness.
you're gonna get them.
Yeah, so
we hounded hard.
we keep a close eye on New York legislation and stuff like that.
But what you're telling me, there's not too big of a worry with that.
No, not at all.
I see.
Actually,
Exercise
Zulu's-
proper transportation.
yeah, Zulu's lease comes up here pretty shortly. I'm going to sign for another 10 years. Without,
New York's-
without batting an eye. So
Now, talking about Zulu's field as well, I've talked to Jordan about this too. When I have two things. One is the submachine guns. So please elaborate with the submachine guns.
So look, pivotal day, right? So we had another location, and we were moving from that location to the new location. At our old location, you were allowed to go full auto, basically with anything, unless you were inside our little CQB town, right?
Okay.
And if you were in the CQB town shooting outward to the wood line,
Correct,
you could use full
right?
auto. Yeah.
So that's just how it was. That's how most airsoft fields ran back then, anyway. One of the last weekends we were open, there was a player specifically, Polar Star, ramped way the hell up, like well over 60 rounds a second type thing. And I'm still reffing. I'm more actively reffing than I am now. And he's behind like this barricade, and there's 3 unsuspecting enemy teammates or team members coming up, and he pops up and lays in and goes, "Bzz, you're all dead. You're all dead. There's no way I missed you." It was the cringiest crap I've ever seen in my whole life. And I was like,
Airsoft.
what do you think? You think there's no space in between your BBs? Like, are you familiar with like angles? like there's very well. I'm pretty sure you got 2 of them. I can't say that you got all 3. And I didn't say this to him. I just made sure there wasn't an argument and left it at that. But that solidified in my head, like when we moved to the new field, semi-auto only. And if you want to use full auto, it's got to be this certain thing. And back then it was just an internationally recognized support weapon, right?
You
So
guys
then-
have changed the
little
the
bit.
support stuff is
It's a touchy. It's because it's not real, it's airsoft.
right.
So
But
like-
submachine guns.
So anyways, right. So that's why we were like, no full auto. And as soon as we did that, as soon as we moved to the new field, and I think opening day we had like 400 people at the new field. It was a phenomenal day. No issues, man. Like the overshooting issues or whatever, gone instantly overnight. And I was like, this is the way. This is the way of the future. When it comes to open play, nobody likes getting shot full auto, right? Everybody thinks that they're getting overshot, and that's true even with support weapons down. So my fear for open play is that if we introduce subgun class, right? Which could be a whole rule set. Got to be real chambered in a pistol caliber. Well, what's the 5.7? Is that really a pistol caliber? Is the P90 really a pistol caliber? It's really not. It's just a small rifle round. And then set like a limitation, 1 joule, limitation. Are these guys going to be running up on dudes, dumping a 30 rounds into people, and then when they complain, they're just like, "What? It's less than a joule." That's my fear for open play. Plus, open play, you never know who you got there, man. You got guys like us who got some time underneath our belts, and then you got guys who are just like, "Hey, I heard about this thing called airsoft. Let me go try it out for a day," and then
they get lit up, and then they're like, "Nope, not for me."
Yeah, very good point.
Well, that's like the same
because
support
five
gun.
guys called each other the night before, and they were just like, "Hey, let's run sub guns tomorrow." So they got 5 dudes just slaying CQB. Sure, it's fun for them. They get their good YouTube footage and all that stuff, but it sucks for everyone else. So that's my concern for open play. Now, for ops, right? For events where you prepay and there's a rule set and there's an age restriction and we can all be adults, which is tough to do in airsoft, I know. I think there's a place for it. I think there's a place for it, but
yeah, I think maybe just drawing the line to say 9mm chamber period, something like that.
What about 45? What about 45 ACP?
9mm only.
Vector comes in 2 calibers. I mean, these are all the arguments.
I have an ARP9 that's 9mm, but I put a Block 2 type rail on it, so it's like a Mark 18 with 9mm stick mag.
But
So-
the big
and I have
problem
and
is-
there's
All
a
right, never mind.
yeah, but also much like this.
All right,
Choose your hills,
question number 2.
it's a snakeskin camo pattern too.
Oh my god, yeah, never mind.
Lightning trigger.
I get
Austin,
this,
it's much
yeah.
like the sport gun rules. So like we had the M27s, dudes were putting 460.
Yes, I watched all the update videos.
Yeah, so you got that, but now you got a dude who's got an AR and he puts a pistol brace on. And he's
Right.
like, "Look, it's my AR pistol. I can go full auto now. I have a sub gun." It's gonna be the same kind of bullshit.
Yes. I think there's a, I've produced events way in the past as a kid, but when you get specific like this, I guess I
But then
start
that-
to see where.
What
For
if
that rental
sense.
player where we have so many people that come and they're just like Dave said, they're trying it.
Yeah, and they get
This-
ripped.
But it's the same thing.
Ripped
If we're
open.
looking at them in the safety brief going, you can't go full auto with that M4, but now some dude runs around with an M27 just shooting full auto. They're like,
Yeah.
"What? I can't go full auto?" That's why the sport gun rule gets
Yeah, I think you guys have a nice balance when you really put it that way. So yeah.
what if you could go full auto with a submachine gun, but it had to be something that you were to like rent from the field?
I think
you can't bring your own.
I think it's too specific.
It's not.
Yeah, that's
It's not
as
the
soon as
fact.
you-
It's
to
not
give the
gun.
rentals a chance. Maybe
No.
they can.
It's not the gun, man. It's the mentality.
Yeah.
To be completely fair, because if you're using a sub gun, you can go full auto, and the trade off is that you're less than a joule, right? Regardless of what ammo weight you're using, it has to be under a joule. So in your mind, you're already underpowered, right? Which means what?
Oh, I got
I need to
overdone.
close with and destroy the enemy, and I better destroy them,
I better get close.
right? And then you think that fun switch isn't going to get? Man.
At Poco Loco
it-
last 2 weeks ago, I had my Tech 9 and I was running up on people because I had to. I could only shoot
Yeah.
50 feet, 30 feet, but I got up there and just ripped, man.
It'd be so cool
And-
running around the field with an MP.
Oh, it was so much fun, man. I was just running there.
It would
I
be
would
cool.
hip
It'd
it
be
just
cool.
crack.
But
it was fun.
But the problem is like we were saying, like with that kind of thing, it comes down to you have to like again the balance between realism and fun and
Safety.
accessibility and safety. It's such a tight line we all walk.
Yeah.
So like and part of that is you have to, frankly speaking, you have to try and mitigate the chance of conflict as much as possible. So to your point, if you're like
That would cause conflict.
right, so
Yes,
and
it
it causes confusion amongst the players because a lot of players think about it, you're looking like far away. You're not always up on top. So you're shooting semi, and then you see a guy you think he has an assault rifle, but he's got a sub, and now he full autos you. That creates conflict right there because you're not. I'm not standing next to Austin, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't see him all the time. So you have to. The more chances you give for conflict, the more chances you give for a game to degrade into bickering, arguing,
Yes,
and
I
then it's
agree.
not fun for.
I think the
everybody.
balance
to Dave's
is there,
point,
so.
to Dave's point, it's also just logical to full auto back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like-
Yes. Okay. This
Like-
I think
like,
this has been
okay.
answered officially to me to say, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's such a, it's such a good
But
idea,
question
but-
number
Stick to your
2.
BBs. No.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
What if SMGs only use .12s?
What's your next question?
I think next question number 2 for the host is I think nowadays it's relatively easy to get your hands on HESCO barriers. And I mean, you can get these things online. We had this conversation, and he kind of tossed it out the window.
Not so much.
Not so much, but I was like, dude, man, I'm just spitballing over the phone. I'm like, what if what if Blue Mag did like a donation like capital and said, but you have to name the combat outpost after Blue Mag, like Blue Mag Combat Outpost or something to help build it. And because the HESCO barriers is a very realistic structure. And that's the thing that and I'm going to make this point in my next YouTube video. Sure, maybe I'll piss some people off and stuff, but I think it needs to be heard that the fields that are created, and I'm not just saying this to say this, but that your field is one of the only ones that has some realistic structures to it. Like you go to these other fields, they're covered in paintball cum. Like every damn building is covered in sludge. And you're like, what the hell, man? Did they just start taking paint and just dumping it on these structures? And you rub up against it and sludge all over your arm? Like, what the? I don't even say, come in there but like it's literally like cum city out there.
See how long we sit inside skirmish cleaning that shit.
Skirmish,
It got in my hair.
Bro, if you go to their city in the back, way in the back, okay, that place is cum city.
So we run. So Hammerfall.
It's disgusting.
Hammerfall was there, Arclight was there, and we go and we scrub it before the ops because we're like, oh my god,
It's
it's like nuts.
So they have all these fields that are
Gross.
they're built specifically for paintball, and they've been that way for 20, 30. Poco Loco's been at where they've been at for 30 years.
Skirmish has been there since the 80s.
Since the 80s. So they've never changed much in terms of, okay, what is realistic where I actually might go in a room and clear it, and I might see something that, okay, I might see that in real life. Why are these fields obsessed with castles?
So
why is it always cum castle? Like
They want to slay the dragon.
Balahack made it very popular.
freaking castle.
No. I would say actually, let me be super clear. Of all the AOs we've run stuff on, and frankly, of all the fields I've played on, Skirmish actually has one of the best freaking fields we've ever played.
They've got that small city in the back. That place is immaculate.
We love running games there because Skirmish has one of the most diverse, and yes, like, are they realistic structures? No, I'd argue that Skirmish probably helped popularize like the castle because you've got Titman
Castles, man. What is with castles?
I'll tell you why. Because it's a fortified structure that allows multiple angles of attack, and players like feeling like they're on their last stand, and other ones like they like breaching the whatever.
Your story moment.
Well, everyone gets main character syndrome, right? So that's what you're doing.
Defend the castle.
They just want to slay the dragon.
Yeah, slay the dragon. But no, I think that getting paint stuff all over you aside, like paint come on you. I think that honestly, like, because I've been to real AOs and they're really cool, but like, I think everyone needs to have open minds as well, right? Like, honestly, Skirmish, one of our favorite fields to run stuff.
Yeah, they don't get me wrong.
Zulu, of course.
Yeah, hey,
I think Zulu has the most realistic setup that I've seen in terms of just like how it's just set up. And I'm just like, I feel like I might actually see this in real life. But every other place I go to, it's just like a bunker, a thing. I don't care about stupid things. It's not realistic. Over in Afghanistan, there is combat outposts strategically placed on top of hills, just surrounded with dirt and stuff. There ain't just random plywood structures sitting out. I don't want that anymore. And I feel like these fields have been around since the 80s, and there's no, it's almost too expensive when you think about opening up a field nowadays. But,
well, and that's a big part of the problem, right? Specifically with airsoft fields, right? Paintball came along in the 80s, two guys marking cows, and they end up shooting each other because they're men. I'd have done the same thing, you know what I mean? So, and paintball was this huge. I mean, I remember seeing like seminars in my stepfather used to renovate Holiday Inn Crown Plazas, so we kind of moved around a little bit, and you'd see like in the Holiday Inns or the Crown Plazas, there'd be like paintball seminars, start your own paintball business, because it was that profitable. Right. Airsoft is in the same spot that paintball was in, I'll say like 1987, right? We're still on that rise. It's big now, but it's not. Paintball's huge.
Yeah, you've said that.
And it's going up, right? the difference between paintball and airsoft is that paintball was profitable. I mean, hella profitable, right? I get to charge you $30 and then you buy a case of paint from me for $100.
Yeah.
And the likelihood of you going through that whole case in 2 games is pretty high.
Pretty high.
So I'm going to net $250 per head. I charge $30 a head. If you have all your equipment, if you have everything you need, it's $30. Right? I've always said I've always said that airsoft kind of shot itself in the leg a little bit, right? On the business side. This is going to be a hot take. I think entry to an airsoft field should be higher. And that's not just because I own an airsoft field and because I want more profits and I'm greedy and all this stuff.
Well, you can grow from it.
Yes. Now, the only way that we were able to do what we did is that we, at our old location, I invested a lot of my own money to build some things that were cool. But once we figured out we couldn't buy that other property, we started just squirreling away everything. So when we got to the new property, we had a pretty good chunk of change. So when I sat down at that point, there were three partners that sat down and said, "Hey guys, like, yeah, we got a lot of money here. We could just put up plywood barriers and tires and all this stuff. And we'd have a good chunk left over. Or I can draw up a town and we build a town. We hire a contractor, gets it done. And then, yes, that's all we're going to have for a little bit, but then we save more money. And then I design the mosque, and then we add on to the mosque, and then, African village. And then, you know what I mean? But we've gotten to a point now where we're at, like, what I always say, it's like a critical mass, right? Where the cost of upkeep is kind of eats up. I mean, I have some plans for, like, we didn't do anything all of 2022. It was all repairs. I had to repair the roof on the mosque. Like,
I remember that.
It was like a big deal. This year I'm doing some more additions up there. I want to make the mosque area like kind of like CQB, how that's like the Western town. I want the mosque area to be like the Middle Eastern town. So I want it to be more of a main street with buildings and.
Don't you have speakers out there that do the prayer?
So I
love that. That's so immersive.
Well, I think like for the first Benghazi or something, we were playing the call to prayer. For the deployment, we played.
Yeah, but we had to move. That was like indoor studio, like sound equipment that we were just moving up there with.
Yeah, that wasn't. It's not like built in or anything.
That's at Fort Dix, the site. I mean, the site I've been looking at for future stuff to work with production hosts on. That place has got some real cool speakers in there. I mean,
so these are all cool things to add, right?
Right.
But,
yes.
So that falls back on paintball. It's okay to have a piece of plywood or tires or whatever blow up in bunkers, which those weren't cheap either, actually. And that's fine for paintball, and that's kind of the expectation for paintball. But the expectation for airsoft is what you were saying:
immersion.
I want to see a burnt out car with a fire still burning in the engine bay. I can do that. Costs money,
right?
Like I can build multi-story buildings. I can do that. Costs money. You know what I mean? So
it seems like it's not owning a field it's extremely hard to build and expand this stuff when your price of admission just doesn't.
We were talking about this earlier. It goes everywhere. It's not. It's just It's everywhere. It's not just field specific, but like. Right, you like running your events, right? Like, I want pyro, okay, but there's people have an appetite for spending only so much money, right? So, I want helicopters, I want pyro, I want this, I want that, I want the cool props, and all of that is capital.
Yeah, and it's in terms of I'll just specifically Zulu 24, right? It's only been through careful management of funds, and making good decisions when good decisions need to be made, and cutting the fat when you need to cut the fat, that we've been able to maintain what we have now. And again, not doing anything for all of 2022 except for repairs. I was still able to like squirrel away some cash from previous years. And I even put some of my own cash in too, to kind of generate this fund for my plans this year. I want to say next year.
So some new stuff is in the works.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to build out where the mosque is and make it because there's like a lot of dead space around the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
It works right now, but it'd be cooler if it was like a street.
Right. Now, what about like I said, like Hesco berries, something that's pretty easy.
Hesco berries are cheap.
They're so cheap.
They're cheap. And
Dirt.
So
Dirt cheap.
Moving dirt's hard.
So
Right. You know.
getting the Hesco berries is easy.
Fucking hard.
It's what do you fill them with? So
Well,
the Hesco
BBs,
berries.
do you need to fill them?
Yes.
Fill them with used BBs.
No, because then you can stack them. But
Right. Yes.
so
So making a combat. Well, sorry.
yeah, like a combat outpost. I
combat
mean, it's going to be
outpost.
sizable. I mean, I'm not going to do some. If I'm going to do that, I'm not going to do some half-assed.
Right. Maybe
You
you
know,
put
10
an
by
airfield
10.
next to it with the freaking,
Yeah.
combat
You
outpost.
going to chop down some trees with me?
I literally will. If you hit me up, I will get my entire dedicated staff up there to work an entire day to make something like that happen.
Yeah,
So
you have bodies from my end.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
well, so
Austin would.
it's getting the dirt to fill it, right? So if you look at Zulu's terrain, it's a ridge.
Yes.
So you dig down more than 10 inches, and it's basically bedrock. So it's not like you can just dig a big pit and then use that to fill in the Hesco berries. You can't go down that far. And then when you get on the back side of the ridge, down by African and stuff,
Mhm.
you dig down 10 inches of water.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So you got to bring in
so I'd have
sand.
to bring
or
in
something.
topsoil or something like that. Or we even talked about like filling them with the tires, because the tires on the field were
Right.
left over from when it was a paintball field before we moved there.
I see.
And they were just like, can you use these? I'm like, whatever.
We are going to build a wall.
So something
Anthony
you
wants to
could,
build a wall.
you
I want to
could
build a wall.
fill those. I think
We
that's.
have 500 tires
What about
Oh yeah, then you're.
of various size. We can make a.
Yeah.
The
But it's
wall.
not the right. It's not the right look. He's talking about a wall for something else. But
Oh well,
wall's
yeah.
going to
I'm-
get 10 feet. tall.
That just hit me. I'm like, it's not too realistic.
no.
I think.
So, but I mean, we were thinking about like getting Hescos, throwing tires in
Yep.
the Hescos, and then filling that with dirt. That would cut down the amount of dirt that we needed.
Mhm.
And just the math never works out. Also, the location, like where would you put it? I have an idea where I'd put it, but I don't want to put it there because there could be some changes happening in the future. And I'm trying to like expand the property,
Mm.
trying to double the size of the property. So there might be some opportunity there, better opportunity. I'm not pulling the trigger on Hesco berries right now,
Okay.
but they are in my mind because
It's relatively easy structure compared to
it is
building.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very realistic. I mean, if you had
Yeah.
this with a gate on the front, how cool would it be?
That'd be cool as shit.
You watch these
Yeah.
videos overseas and stuff, the cops getting overrun
Yeah,
and
man.
the guys up on the walls and they're coming through the gate. You got a little motor pool, maybe some military tents where people could put cots and you
Yeah.
sleep. Like you really could take those to a whole nother
Sure.
level.
And I would put it way out by itself.
Yeah.
So that way, if you're running any ops or anything, that's your firm base,
Right.
and you got to patrol the town, which means you got to come out.
Come
You
out.
got
Come
to come
out
out
of
of
it. Just like
come out of-
overseas.
Yeah.
Most of the cops are up on top of a hill overlooking a village. You
Yeah.
got to go down,
Yeah.
do your presence patrols.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're thinking
Yeah.
very similar. This has just hit me. I'm like, if I ever was to work something out with somebody or a field or where, that's all I would build. Is just cops, Ford operating base, little village, cops. That's all I built. Like, hey, what happened last night? Oh, did you hear Cop Snake got hit hard? They took over Cop Snake.
Yeah.
Well, where's first platoon? Oh, that's them walking in now. They're regrouping with us here at our cop, but the bad guys are coming later. And they come and it's like all you hear is explosions and stuff, similar to how Panthera Training Center is. It's kind of what you feel inside of that little town there. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
the bad guys are coming, you
The
know?
one,
Like,
so the field what you're describing reminds me actually a lot of Chechen collapse. That's how it felt.
Reminds me of something else.
But like the thing with Panthera is really cool. That AO is an ass kicker. If you've ever been there, that AO hates you. It wants to
Yeah.
eat you. There's a lot of hills. The only thing with Panthera is you've only got that one structure. So
Right.
so when we were in our ops, like we had the rebels go out there and kicked up their little like tent places, and that's how you had to go patrol. So but yeah, Panthera is really cool for that. I think there's a couple other really cool ops you could probably run.
I haven't seen any field like, take any kind of initiative to build something realistic, I would be so happy in there to sleep in a cot and feel like I was back overseas.
Yeah.
Wake up to mortar fire and running over. Hey, someone get on the wall. Like it just would create this whole different atmosphere that people are not used to. You know, a bunch of a bunch of terrorists kick open the front gate. The gate opens up. A bunch of dudes pour in. Everybody's running for the hills. Like it just would be a different.
So you would have loved this unicorn event that we did. I want to say 2015, 2016. It was called The Deployment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was loosely based off one of my deployments, right? So I actually, the whole staging area, all the AstroTurf,
Okay.
that was, it was Cop 1, right?
Okay.
And I took all the, did you ever see the towers?
The towers, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They
One of
used
them
to
kind
be
of hanging
there.
out.
Remind me, I'd really like to backtrack to when I first met you a few years ago. But continue.
So we built these towers, right? So there was 4 of them in total. One on top of the Connex box, one on top of like where we store the lawnmower, and then one a little bit further down.
Right. Yes.
And then I took all the picnic tables and I turned them upright.
Cool.
So it was like barricades, and we had and I used tarps, and I tarped off the awnings.
Very cool.
Right. So we had vehicles. So we had the motor pool, which was just the open
The
area,
motor pool.
and then everybody slept inside, right? And
Only somebody that has been in the service will understand how these things need to realistically be set up. A motor pool. You can't just throw a Connex in the middle of a field. That's not realistic. But where a Connex is realistic is on a cop. Where do you store your stuff?
Yep.
You got to have a Connex, a couple of them.
Yeah.
You got to have a couple of vehicles for motor pools. But,
man.
Continue.
And it was like, so it was 40 hours. Deployment was 40 hours, right?
It was a little bit longer than that. It was almost 48.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was the unicorn
Real
game.
deal.
Was it
deployment.
nonstop?
It was nonstop, yeah. It started Friday evening, went all the way through Sunday.
It started Friday.
How do you
around
guys,
4
was this
o'clock.
back before ordinances and stuff, or did you just do it?
We just did it. Yeah, we
That
just did it.
entire game was also super scripted on the staff perspective, so it wasn't active all night, but we knew at like 3 a.m. the entire Op4 team was hitting the cop.
And where did they come from?
So they populated the areas, right? So instead of squads, they were broken into cells. So it was all right. So in order to be a role player, because that's what they were, there was no enemy team.
Right.
They were 100% role players, and if they wanted to do it, it was free, and they had to attend one of 2 meetings prior to the event.
Training.
No. It was like
Orientation.
It was like a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It was like
each and
everybody
every-
sit down. Dave's gonna have a PowerPoint presentation.
yeah, like each
Cool.
they had like code of conduct, right? Like hey, if you're in civilian mode, your cell's not activated, you're a civilian, which means you never have a gun in your hand, because the ROEs for where they were, I can't remember what town, I think it was Musaib I picked, but civilians weren't allowed to have guns out in the streets, right? So you couldn't have a gun out. If airsoft BB wars started happening, they're shooting real bullets. So are you going to hang around and stare at it? No, you're going to run and you're going to hide. You know what I mean? So they had like all these parameters. And then if their cell was active, so their cell would be active for 1 or 2 hours or something like that, and it would rotate throughout this whole event. You were a bad guy 1,000% during that time. So it wasn't like you could throw your gun down and all of a sudden you're a civilian and we have to treat you differently. Like, no, you're a bad guy. And so that worked out well. So you didn't get all those stupid moments where they're like, they shoot at you and then they throw their gun down and like, oh no, I'm a fucking civilian.
There was also no concealed carrying weapons as Op4.
No concealed carry as
And
Op4.
Every Op4 cell was led by a staff member.
Yep.
That sounds right up my alley.
And it was
That's very.
and every cell had,
Like a base camp.
they had like where they slept. I told them, I gave them all ID cards, like
Cool.
so they could put their picture in. I was like, come up with a story. Where do you work? Where do you go during?
Oh man, you remember Doug and Colin? They had used not 3D printing. They had like laser engravers, and they were doing wood carvings before the game. So they had a bunch of merch just specifically for this game.
That's pretty cool.
And they were selling it out of the jail in CQB.
Yeah.
So
They like
Set
set
up a whole
store.
shop.
how successful was this event?
It was amazing.
It was a unicorn. It
What
was
does that?
the right.
What does that mean?
It means we had the right people, the right time, with the right attitude, and all the role players did freaking phenomenal. There was no
so good.
airsofty bullshit at all, and everybody played it like in your head it should be played. I mean, they did like a protest and a demonstration and everything. It was incredible.
I have footage of this. It was more LARP than airsoft.
I really
it was
wanna see
amazing.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
send
a
it to you.
very
But-
delicate balance.
But here's the thing: the LARPiness was only on the role player side
right,
because they're not paying and they're basically volunteering their time.
right.
And I told them straight up, I was like, this event is not for you. It's not designed for your experience. It's designed for their experience. So make their experience fucking worth it, right? And they did. They knocked it out of the
Dude,
fucking
my cell
park.
had a farm. We brought
that's
shovels and
awesome.
topsoil, and we had a little co-op out behind the helicopter up by the rock
You
wall.
know,
It
there's
was
been
awesome.
one other, and I've said this before. It's no joke that I think Milsom West is top, number one. They'll never get knocked off. They're superior in every regard to any other production. Like they have some type of connection with all these special venues. I mean, they do something that is just very unique, and I don't know how they do it. I can't explain it, but I don't like LARPy stuff. You know, we've talked about that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
training, you know,
Yeah.
we're getting hard, and you know, I like a little bit of it. I can tolerate. So I went to a Milsom West Insurgency, and I was like, oh god, here we go. Now I gotta freaking no, don't shoot me. You know, like,
Yeah.
and I went as NATO, and it was so balanced that I liked it. I was like, this is so like perfectly balanced. I couldn't complain about it. I was like, okay. Like, even though there were all these LARP, here you go, blah, blah, like, here, give me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care, dude. Get out of here. Like, I actually engaged with people, and they were cooking us food, and it'll be two bags of BBs. I'm like, man, I'm hungry. Like, you know, so they can pull it off. And, you know, you guys don't add too much LARPiness at all, really. Like,
You've
none.
only been you haven't been to the other kinds of events. You've been to a conflict. We don't
Right.
we purposely don't put the LARP in there.
Right, but I mean, it's like it's balanced like that. It's just there's just something about it. I'm like, wow, like, and most people just can't do that. But
It's a delicate balance, and that's for the deployment, right? That's why I purposely didn't charge the role players, because I wanted them to be there.
I like that concept.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be able to tell them what to do,
Right.
and not have them be like, but I paid to be here.
Yeah.
You know?
right,
No,
they had to have
you-
the right mindset.
You're volunteering your time, and it was amazing. Like, people set up shops. There was a guy set up a restaurant,
Yeah.
like in the
So
gas station.
You
at
could pay
CQB,
per
like-
meal, or you could pay for the entire op, and you got breakfast and dinner, and lunch was on you.
It sounds
They
like
got-
you
they
guys
got
really
paid to
hit
be
that
there,
balance.
actually.
Now,
Really? You guys did that shop.
why not do another one of these?
We
We
setups?
tried.
Player base has been asking for a long time. The problem right now is freaking town ordinances, man.
Mm,
Yeah,
just
like
the
we
same
can't do
reason-
our 3 a.m. RPG attack on
Yeah.
top.
right,
It-
which is very realistic.
Did we
You-
talk
I got a
about
video.
how
I have a video of it. It's
You do prayer. If you do prayer
We did
coming
that.
up, and then you did.
We
You
did
guys
that.
like how,
So-
how did I miss?
did we
So-
talk about Benghazi when
so-
the cops showed up?
hold on. So
Yes, we already did.
so I actually took it was I think it was copper. It was actually somebody gave me a spool of fine
You
copper
told
wire.
me about this.
Okay.
You told me.
And so I had some 55-gallon drums, and I put them up. One was on top of the
The Connex.
one was on top of the Connex, and then one was on top of one of the towers.
Okay.
And I ran that copper wire to different points up on the field, right?
hmm
And there was a lot of experimentation here, but we figured out which type of model rocket engines we needed to use, and like how to attach them to the guide wire and that type of thing. And the end result was terrifying.
RPG.
Yes,
Yeah,
it made the
tail.
perfect noise. It made the so another part of that, which actually so I have an ignition system that I got from Sports Smoke, right?
hmm
So the rocket was OP4 ignited.
Mm.
So they would take care of that. I knew what time it was supposed to happen. I had a little keychain around my neck, and if I pressed a button, I could set off pyro. So they would launch the rocket. I'd hear it coming in. I'm spamming the button, you know. And so I hooked up it was a Sports smoke, like their big smoke. And it was all, and then it was
It was just like pyrotechnic fireworks because I was using.
it was a
the other
mortar.
day.
Yeah. And I purposely chose the mortar rounds that had like red sparks.
Mm.
So you get the rocket coming in, and then the mortar goes off, and then the smoke billows out. I can't believe how we have a video of us practicing with. Actually, we made a little like
Yeah, we made a teaser with it.
a little teaser.
me-
Okay, is it on your channel?
It's
don't
on
know
the
where that's at.
Facebook page. It's
All right, I'll have
It's
to dig
deep.
for
it's
it.
me standing
It's
on the ridge line right next to the
Oh,
Connex
yes.
yelling,
Yeah.
and then you can visibly see that the rocket does not come from me. It comes from like
Yeah.
5 feet to my right. And we had parked one of the old refs, Nick, his red pickup truck right below the wire, and the 2 guys that were on guard saw the RPG come in, ducked behind the truck, and that was it. Black screen, and it just said the deployment 2.24.
It
good
was
trailer.
awesome.
Oh man, yeah, you guys got it. I mean, maybe you obviously know what you need to do to get through the night stuff, but I would be
The other
very
thing is the
interested in
price.
something
Like,
like
we can
that.
talk all of this magic about what happened that game. It was cool. It was so much fun. One of the
Mm.
best airsoft experiences I've ever had. But trying to convince a player to
Yeah.
pay $200 to play for 2 days at Zulu,
Yeah.
hard.
You're like, no, it's
Ah.
free.
Because they're used to paying for 3 days.
nowadays.
But most of the
think
player
you could get
base, 'cause
away
we
with it.
tried the year after. We made an even more in-depth teaser. I was using like fake
Yeah.
news clips and the whole
Ah,
line, and we were
cool.
filming with blank fire, like just for the purpose of making the trailer, and it was dope. I think 4 people signed up.
What year was this?
2017.
I would say
Okay.
60.
And,
So
and,
20
and, you
I
had
would say 60.
and you tried to go again next year, and
The
you
following year,
you
same
dropped
time.
like that.
Yeah, drop. Well, I mean, players had a good point. I think we were charging $100.
Mm-hmm.
So $100 for the whole weekend. I mean, think about it. I have to shut my business down for 2 days
Yeah.
in the summertime. Prime time peak season. I'm taking a chance, but so it was $100, and somebody was like, "Why would I pay $100 to play at Zulu for 2 days when
They couldn't.
I can pay
understand the
60 and
experience.
play both?"
Well,
You know,
You're
and-
not getting the production value.
exactly. Like they're not
That's
getting
the-
experience, but
Well,
it
the other
just
problem-
didn't.
Tough to change perceptions.
Yeah, it just didn't take
So
off, and it was a fuck ton of work. So
Yeah.
I was half relieved because I was just like, setting up the timeline for the event, the in processing, the cell schedule, who's going to live where, which sectors are which color, what's the story, right? Because the story was basically that we're there for SASO ops, right? Security and stabilization operations, and so you're running foot patrols, right? So every so there was like an assault security support, right? So security's up in the towers, assault element is your patrolling element, and then your support is your QRF/rest, right? So then they would send out patrols. Either something would happen or something would not, based on if they ran into the cell that was active at that time. And I had comms with them, so I was like, "Command, we're sending out a patrol to this sector." Like
This sector.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And if they got hit and QRF got activated, there was also so anyway, the storyline was that like this local village that we're trying to stabilize, the sheik is like trying to work with us.
Chic.
Yeah, he's trying to work with us, and he's, but the town is not really giving up information. So we had to do this hit Friday night where we blew doors off the hinges
Nice.
Oh,
That's cool.
with a tape charge.
Ah,
Oh
Very cool.
man.
Very cool.
And then through the course of story telling at a third person level where the player had to kind of gain the intel and figure it out and put it together, and I only had to gently nudge, hey, what about this little piece here that you brought back, and they put it all together, and they were like, the sheik is the warlord. I was like, I guess you should plan a hit for the mosque tonight at 2 a.m.
yeah.
And then but that's why I used to have a sand table in staging,
cool.
and so they would plan all the raids and stuff. Actually, it's
Awesome.
funny, right? So Saturday evening, actually Sunday early morning, right? So 2-3 in the morning, right? That's
These
when they
the
planned.
notes.
What's that?
The notes.
There was all sorts of stuff.
No, I was gonna say when you guys came into our camp and left notes on us while we were sleeping.
Yeah. So they had to plan out this mosque raid, right? And that was supposed to be hey, we're gonna go hit the mosque, and as part of the storyline, there was 2 different outcomes. They could find the sheik there, or he could have gotten away. It depended on how they did it. And then the next day was just open combat, right? The secret's out, and so everyone's activated, and now we're defending this cop, right?
Cool.
So we're all staged up, ready to go to make movement to the mosque, right? And we're going from the staging area because that's our combat outpost. And so everybody's like, well, we're the only ones at MVGs. So everybody's like turning on all their strobes and shit. And I was like, yeah, it's a good idea.
Mm.
So we're all staged up, ready to go. We're right next to Stewart Air Force Base. And at 3 a.m., I look up and there's 2 Blackhawks
Really?
flying right over the field. And I was like, they're using NVGs.
Yeah.
They're looking down and they're seeing 40 to 50 strobe lights going off down here. And just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, holy shit. But it was cool, man. They did a good job with the raid.
That sounds something right up. That's very realistic. You get training value out of it.
Then the Blackhawks landed at the field and were like, I hear you guys were playing airsoft.
We're in, man.
So-
There's a couple clips online that I can find, I think in late 2013, 2014 on Fort Dix of them. And this is where I was doing research on the field. Them pictures with airsoft rifles. And that's what they're training with on the base. I don't know how that happened. But that, I mean, it's been done. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of like.
That is a rabbit hole.
You know what rabbit hole we should go down?
Which one?
I feel like we're approaching this time. Let's talk about Redacted.
Oh, Redacted.
Well, real quick, I have a in that's what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that in I believe it was 2019. You guys weren't even like, I looked up Zulu, and I think this is just a really good story from my perspective and maybe from your perspective, but I looked up Zulu and I couldn't really find too much information about it, like at all. As you still had the pictures on Google of like the D-Day and you had like the things up.
Yeah, that was insane.
And I'm like, what is this place? Like, is this an even airsoft place? Or just some dude running that out of his backyard, like Cookie's Chaos or something? Because this is back when Cookie's Chaos was still around.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm like, this place looks pretty cool. So I randomly show up on a Saturday. There's like 250 people there. And I'm like, wow, this is like a really hidden gem.
Yeah.
Like, this is
So-
like real cool.
Yeah. I mean, social media, I am ass at social media.
Mm.
I just because I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys weren't
Isn't that what
even
he's
on
there
the
for, though?
map.
yeah.
You guys were non-existent.
Well, because
I did take a chance to come up.
I still don't know why people like photos on Instagram. I mean, like physically press the button. When I like stuff all the time on Instagram, and I go,
Sure.
oh, that's neat. Scroll.
Yeah, right. You don't
Like,
actually.
I don't understand that. Why
He
are they
said
pushing
this
that button?
exact thing verbatim on the last podcast.
Yeah, because
Real boomer moment.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. So I suck at it, right? And I'm not oblivious to that. It's a shortcoming of mine in terms of business. I think it's great in my real life, but for a business, you need to be socially aware, right? A social media aware. So that's why I outsourced it to somebody younger and smarter than me to take care of it on for Zulu, and
Yeah,
it's had a huge positive effect.
huge because now
It's-
people actually see you guys.
Yeah,
but
it's
in 2020, to wrap this up, I came to the field again, and then I went up to you and I, you went like this. Nice to meet you.
Oh.
You put your shirt up because we were all wearing masks. And you
Oh,
were
that's-
walking around telling me I had my mask hanging down. You're like, hey, put your mask on. I'm like, oh, yeah.
yeah.
It was a rough time. So
Yeah.
then I go up to you and I talk to you for about an hour about owning a field. And I ask you all these questions, how much did it cost you to build this? And you're telling me this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking about which kind of business am I going to go into here with this. And so I talked to you for a while about that. And then, a couple years go by, and then I come to you again and I asked to do a photo shoot. Remember I did that photo shoot?
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah,
You guys filmed down in the new CQB.
We filmed down in
Yeah.
UCQB because I just I brought my whole team up there and I said, I'm just going to ask this guy if I can take photos for Blue Mag. And I just go up to you and I'm like, hey man, we're from Blue Mag. Can we just like, nobody knew who the hell we were. So, and you're like, yeah. Take your whole crew. And it was a foggy morning. If you want
That's right.
you remember that?
Yeah.
This was like
Right.
8:45 in the
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you
I
guys were down
said,
there
my
popping
photographer's
smoke
like, bro, we need to get down there now. This is amazing.
Yeah.
We run down there. You guys give us the whole half of the field to run our photo shoot for our brand. Because, that's everything with me has got to be top-notch quality. Everything on our photos has just got to be exceptional. So we're down there for like most of the day shooting. And we're shooting. We get these amazing photos. They were all on our website. Now we've got new seasonal photos and stuff. But if you look on there, a lot of them are still there.
Yeah.
For a while on the website I had, done at Zulu 24. But that conversation I had with you, I said, yeah, you know, I'm going to start selling my own product, my own branded BBs. And you were like, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah.
So I gave you 2 bottles, the only bottles I had. Like, I was like, I shouldn't give these to this guy, but I'm going to do it because
I spilled one of them on the ground, never even touched the BBs. I'm just kidding.
But so yeah, I give them to you, and then you're like, all right, yeah, cool, man, let me know. So then I think my first order was coming in, and then you were my first. You were one of my, I think there were 4 clients that were interested in working with me, and you were one of the first ones. And do you remember I came to your house with a U-Haul and dropped off my first order?
Yes, you did.
Because, and I think this is really funny in retrospect, because that day, what happened was I'd sent you an invoice, and then you had paid the invoice, and I said, ooh, my stuff's getting clogged up at the port by customs.
Nice.
And I started freaking out. I'm like, bro, man, I've got like these clients. I can't lose them. Like, so I start texting him like, hey, man, my stuff's a little delayed. You're like, all right, yeah, no problem. But then I go, screw it. I've got to go to the port and get these. They've been there for 3 weeks, and no one gives a damn about someone new like me. They'll lock your stuff up for months. They don't give a damn. So I go to the port with a friend of mine, and I pick them up myself in a U-Haul. I show up at the port where all these truckers are going through, and I go in there with paperwork. I'm like, I'm here to get my stuff. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm like here to pick up my own stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody does that. And they're like, let the truckers do it. And I'm like, no, I'm here to get it. So they're like, okay. So they bring out this forklift, they scoop up my stuff, and they put it in the back, all of the bottles of which were unlabeled.
Hell yeah.
I sat in the back of a U-Haul with my friend and labeled 6 cases of 2.5s for you.
I appreciate it.
And then brought them to your address and thought, what's this guy going to think? Is he going to think that like, oh, wow, this is exceptional service. He's bringing them to my house. Or, whoa, this guy's a freaking weirdo, you know? What was going through your head on the other side of that?
I think you definitely mentioned that your shit was going to get caught up at customs or the port, or was that Elizabeth, New Jersey?
It was, no, I was in New York. Like this was
okay,
New York, like in the thick of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember you showed up with the BBs and they were like, they weren't late. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I knew that you were just starting out, and I knew that, like, I'm a big proponent of like entrepreneurship, right? Because because if nobody gave me a chance, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So, you delivered the appropriate amount to the appropriate location, and I was like, perfect. That's literally as dumb as it sounds, man. Like, if I can get somebody to make a product, have it on time, and deliver it to the right place, like, and it's not from China, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy with that. I would much rather go through local people or people, you know, close to us in the industry. And you did it. So I was like, nice, right on. Yeah. Like, you did the thing. I gave you money and you did the service, and it was exceptional. Like, okay.
Yeah. That
you know,
was,
like, I don't know.
that was like that whole segment was like, that was like our first, and then we went and we hand delivered a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, it was like wild times, but you know, this is probably like, well, that was last February or January when we were first getting started, but talking to you several years before, that was like probably 2.5 years, 3 years ago. Yeah. I just think it's interesting how we ended up, you know, where we are here.
I think it's great. Man. You had an idea and you ran with it, and you put in the work. You know, I imagine with, you know, production and even just getting a serviceable BB took some time, you know, like figuring out manufacturing and figuring out who to go to, and then bottling and coming up with label design, website, promotional items, shit like that. Work. Like, I respect the shit out of that, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting segment that I wanted to get into.
It's crazy, the journey that, you know, like, it's how fast you progress through those things, right? Like, you know, you said a couple of years ago, you're going down and picking up your own shipment and putting labels on yourself and your hand delivering
man.
stuff.
Sitting in the back of that U-Haul, freezing my ass off every label. And I'm like, oh, that'll take us 20 minutes.
No.
It took me 4 hours.
No.
Like,
I mean, to be fair, the personalized BB delivery is still nice.
It was.
That's unrivaled. And hearing that story, that story reminds me of an Instagram post on the Zulu page. Elite Force like commented on it, like, we should get in contact soon. So, Like Elite Force.
Yeah, but that was more gauged towards me because I have an Elite Force account and they want me to do more business with.
Oh, I saw that. But
Elite Force.
But it's just interesting to see that, like, from my perspective, it was like, here's this new BB sponsor, and then Elite Force is in, like, you know what I'm saying?
So there's
Nothing
the funny
bad about
conversation.
it, but I'm just saying, like, you can't. There's something to be said about
Anthony, don't worry.
that.
When we're not on air, I got something funny for you.
There you go.
still. There's just
Well, let's segue here into.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's a good segue because it's the growth, right? Like you're talking about,
That's right.
You made the point earlier, Dave, that there's growth happening, right? And you get new BB sponsors, right? New sponsors, BB companies, right? And they're doing it a different way, right? And you see that you're always going to have your elite forces, but clearly there's other places, and it's a good indicator that airsoft's starting to grow, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I never realized how self-run you guys really are.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, just getting started in any entrepreneurial journey nowadays is extremely hard. But I think I've kind of talked a lot about that already, about how getting to this point was like a bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I don't even know. I'm burning out here.
All right, so let's get into it.
Let's get into
What was
Redacted.
so
here.
Redacted.
So
That's-
Redacted, and I'll throw it at Max here from Grimnir because you guys kind of already teased it. With,
Yeah.
so what is this fantastic collaborative
collaboration?
Redacted event happening at Panthera
Yep.
first weekend in August? What is that?
So it's actually really interesting because we talked about, it was a minute ago, feels like a lifetime ago, but we talked about our narrative, right?
Yeah.
Over the 2 years, we've been focused really heavily on that product, right? The Soul Imperium product and stuff. And in the theme of, growth and new things and trying new things, right? Like the Redacted event is outside of our typical narrative. It's just not there, right? It has nothing to do with Soul Imperium, has nothing to do with that. And actually it plays nicely. We've been toying with this idea of going hyper realistic. And we talked. You told me about a couple things you'd done, and we were, going back and forth. We ran the Bounty Hunters beta, right? Which was cool.
That was so cool.
And then we ran the Anthropos, right? And we talked more about it. So let's get right to it. So August is it's going to be a true blue, like real deal 40-hour milsim, right? The whole shebang. And the scenario, Redacted, is Benghazi.
That's right. So everybody listening here, Blue Mag, Grimnir, and Zulu have teamed up to bring back the Battle of Benghazi because we can't do it at Zulu anymore because it has outgrown, well, the local municipalities, but it's outgrown.
They don't like 3 a.m.
And I never wanted to do a Benghazi that was lesser than the Benghazi beforehand, right? And the reason why we shut down Benghazi was because the cops got called and it was like a whole thing. So now what this means is that we can bring Benghazi back full force for 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We can use all the toys, tags, tag launchables, smokes, everything.
And we can leverage Panthera's pyro.
We can utilize vehicles at a realistic distance and not just up and down the hill at Zulu.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Same thing goes with the medic system and the respawn system and all that stuff.
And they just have a fantastic setting for it.
For sure.
The mount site
Yeah.
is a textbook compound you've got. It's perfect.
It's perfect. And it's going to be amazing. So just to repeat.
Yeah.
Benghazi's back, baby.
Yeah.
What are those dates?
It's first weekend in August.
I don't know that.
August 4th, 5th, and 6th,
That
I
one,
believe.
yeah, I think.
There we go.
Also, that weekend is scheduled to be a full moon weekend. So, as per the rules, the insurgent side is not allowed to have night vision, but they'll heavily outnumber GRS. We haven't decided yet on a max GRS ticket limit, but there will be a limit, and it'll be less than 100. That's for sure.
Yeah.
In the past, I've done 50. We may scale up a little bit. We still have to iron that out.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room to play. Right?
Yeah.
You can get some bodies in there.
And insurgent side, Shit, we could probably do 300.
You've got you've got enough room for a big GRS. You've got more than enough room for a lot of the insurgent side, and they've got plenty of places to go hide. And
now, can you talk a little bit about the venue of exactly where? Because we know Panthera Training Center is in Virginia.
It's in West Virginia.
West
It's
Virginia.
in the Blue Mountains, West Virginia.
Yep, it's in Old Fields,
West
Virginia.
Beautiful.
So that's going to be, cut me out here.
So it's about a 6-hour drive.
6
There
hours.
you go.
Yeah.
I don't know
From
if you
here,
guys wanted to
yeah,
bring
from
that
here,
up.
For
Stuff,
players
just
that
giving
are local
details.
to Zulu 24, the drive from here to Panthera is about 6 hours.
Okay, so
6 hours. Yep, 6 hours. Well worth it. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why we want to do a 40-hour, right? Is because Benghazi is generally 13 hours because of the movie and the real events and stuff like that. But if you're going to drive 6 hours, then we want to give you a product worth that drive. You know what I mean?
Now, the players are going to ask because Benghazi generally is that 13-hour game where it starts and it kicks off and it's right into the action. Because this is now a 40-hour game, is there going to be more LARPing aspects to it? Is it going to be combat for 40 hours straight? Is there going to be role play?
Are we going to drive
I
by
don't
and
think
take
we've-
pictures of people?
That's
right.
We haven't decided anything.
So this is to be determined.
Well. So I, if you don't mind, I can throw some just ideas. Like,
So I've already kind of gone down the rabbit hole, and
we've been going back and forth on some things.
and there will absolutely be. If you've seen the movie,
Recreate the burning building scene.
if you
With fire, no fire.
if you've seen the movie, then you know where it's going. They didn't just defend a compound,
Right. There was
all sorts of other things happening. They were doing like they did like the trades for the weapons in the market. They did asset escorting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The CIA ops and all that stuff.
So it's going to be like a lead up to a climb.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
They
the
worked
intent, right?
out.
So it's going to be
They
like
were
The tires. They had
Yeah,
a
we're gonna
CIA
PT
guy that
every
was a
morning.
real jerk. Who's
PT
that
every
going to
morning?
be? I want to be that
Deadlifts,
guy.
up and down the hill's gonna be great. Love it.
Yeah,
But
no,
I mean, like we've toyed with other ideas, like you brought the picture taking thing. So
Yeah.
we've toyed with an idea of maybe not building the field for the players, but maybe even here's your barriers and your camera systems and stuff, and you go build your stuff, which creates an interesting gameplay loop for the players to feel like they own the defense, but then also for the insurgent sides to have a reason to go by and gain intelligence and do passive collections.
giving more creativity to the player.
Right.
Are man jams going to be mandatory for the insurgents?
Mandatory, no, but highly
recommend.
I don't know if you've ever worn man jams. They are comfortable.
They are. They're fantastic.
There are a bunch of
Our
you guys wearing them at
sandals recommended.
Anthropos.
Sandals and
all over the place.
I mean, it's going to be August, so
yeah.
the potential there to be pretty
Yeah,
warm.
You heard it,
toe.
folks.
And
Man
PT
jams
shorts. Yeah.
recommended.
Man jam top, PT shorts underneath.
Yeah.
Open toe.
We're
Crocs.
super excited about this because we've been toying with stepping outside of our original product for a while now, and it's a good opportunity for us to try some new stuff and to go to a more realistic place. And I mean, I can't say anything, but there may or may not be a draft narrative for something else outside of the Soul Wars universe after that. So if the realistic stuff takes off, who knows what we could see in 2024 or 2025 and stuff. So maybe there's not just a Soul Wars product. Maybe there's something else that's been kicked around.
Now, the question that will inevitably be thrown into the comment section after this gets posted. Do we have an idea for when tickets are going on sale? And if so, what are the pricing?
So
TBD
on pricing.
TBD. We have the cost analysis still needs to be ironed out.
Yep.
And that includes AO, securing the AO, also all the pyrotechnics that we intend on leveraging, implementing. We've got to get vehicles down there. I mean, we're not going to do this half-assed. It's got to be done well. The bar has to be set higher than the last Benghazi at Zulu, where the cops got called because 3 different counties heard us and thought there was World War III. You know what I mean? Like that's the bar we're trying to break.
So I would say, I know that we're going to get together in a couple of weeks here probably to sit down and whiteboard this all out.
Yeah.
And I think that So if you remember, ArcLight tickets go on sale March 1st. ArcLight is in June. So I would say sometime between ArcLight sales starting and ArcLight itself, you'd probably see
So
tickets
probably
go.
around late May, early June.
Yeah.
April, May, somewhere around there is when you
Because players are going to ask. It's
Absolutely,
inevitable.
yeah, and they should ask, and if they, I hope they ask, that means they're excited. But yeah, I think you'll see. Obviously, we're not going to go quiet on this. Like we'll be giving updates. Like I said, we're going to meet
Yeah.
soon, and then once we get all the details hammered out, we're going to finalize to the cost structure and all that stuff. And then, like I said, probably somewhere between when ArcLight tickets go on sale and when ArcLight happens is when you'll see the ticket sales come out.
So keep an eye out for
Keep an eye
spring.
out, and then we'll give notice. We'll do a countdown towards it, and it's a team effort, and we want to make sure, like Dave said, we want to make sure we do this right, and it's absolutely the pinnacle of a production that we've done so far.
Perfect.
So get excited.
I got chills.
Be very
I was like shaking back here.
All right. So Max from Grimnir, Austin from Blue Mag. I just want to thank you guys for coming on the Zulu 24 podcast,
Thanks for having
episode 2.
us.
Thanks for signing the flag behind you with our crappy pen.
Yeah, I think I could give sustain about this experience.
Yeah, good.
It would be the setup and an improve.
On the paint
It
pen.
would be that.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
real quick for all the
There you
viewers
go.
that are listening and not watching, because I'm going to put all your social medias on the screen. If you guys want to plug any YouTube, social media, Instagram, your websites, you're more than welcome to right now.
Yeah, just head over to Grimnir Tactical on Instagram. You can get to our YouTube and all of our other stuff. We also on all of our posts we have all of the team member accounts on there, so you can follow all of us if you want to. Rabbit runs that account. Also, go to our website. And there's links to our Discord. Jump on in there and talk to us about Soul Wars, and talk to us about Benghazi, and we're pretty pumped to get engaged with you guys. So jump in whenever you want.
And for Blue Mag, we're at bluemagairsoft.com. Everything ships for free. And that's regardless if you're ordering 1 bottle or 10 bottles. You also get a bulk discount on any product that you order. And then you have all our social media channels: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Truth. What am I missing here? YouTube,
Twitter.
Twitter, all Blue Mag Airsoft. And we have quite a few different people that run the social media stuff, so you might not be getting me directly. We're also very excited about Benghazi event to get plugged in with these guys, get some quality ammo out there, maybe some specialized ammo at that point. We'll see. Not going to make any promises.
All right. I think that's it, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thanks for having us, Dave.
All right, it's been fun.
Bang, bang, bow.
Thanks, guys.